the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money, you change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas is low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I make that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang. And we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight. Cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day. They still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. Lil' mama, she bad but complain. Cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane and go get this money with Dizzy. I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang.
I get the bag with the gang. Money. Taking that Zach to the bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that should change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about same. Be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. Don't fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up my nigga, we different now. I need a Robert, this is my style. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I get a bitch today, she probably a foreign model. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I'm with my gang today, tomorrow never promise.
OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang.
Welcome, everybody. We are here to get it on. We are here to hate watch this raggedy bitch, Rebekah Davis. And you know fucking white people always late, so this hoe ain't on time. But of course, can't rely on these motherfuckers for nothing. Let's, I don't even know. What we supposed to do here? Waiting for this hoe. All right, let's, who knows? Let's play Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
In Dublin, and he's going to play us out. You're going to play what to finish us up?
Do you know what? I don't know the name of this song, actually, but I know the song.
Oh, look forward to this. Five bands, take it away.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, all those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the collared by its tail. Your third fiance didn't show. Well, sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and you're always glad they came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, you get out of bed and the coffee's dead. The morning isn't looking bright. You shrink right off to Europe and he doesn't even write. Your girlfriend says she's not a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows
All right,
your
Pragmatic
name.
Crystal is first. Thank you.
You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
YouTube Punk was second.
Foy Vance. Most common word coming in by text, Foy, is goosebumps. Believe it or not, we've had that repeatedly across the whole series. If you want to see Foy Vance's cheeky grin when he sang the line, "When you find your girlfriend is a guy," you can go on the website. We'll upload a video of Foy.
Two fucking bars, nigga.
Whoa. Is that? Hey, what up?
Let's go.
They know my campaign. Now they running up on Roddy like it's second place. They wanna know if I'm a prop or I'm the real plane. Landed in Austin and I even brought my own strain.
We're in the cafe.
Yeah, fuck is they talking about? Link up with Freddie, got it booming cause it's Mo South. Then we hit the spot, my OG had it packed out. Getting love in every city, what it's all about. Facts, yeah, know when I'm back home. At the blueprint eating chicken with some bad Johns. And they bad, but not like the one that's at home. And she bad, but not like them kids we had, Lord, yeah. I'm still up in my mode. Hit my connect, he make the close, I run the give and go. Just ask the ones who fucking with me if you didn't know. They say the plane was always on it and he always gone. I love you, I want you. You're the one that I live for. I can't take it anymore. I love you, I need you. What can I do to make you see? You're the only one for me. I told Jay I'ma just
That's
stick to the
two shout
code.
outs.
He wish me well
One
and told me
song,
how
I'm
he
on that
been
next
noticing
level
growth.
shit.
Told all my niggas down on Serato, let's get this dough. Figure of speech, I'm just saying my niggas gotta glow. Yeah, I thought I changed up, but in fact I just got better at the same stuff. Even when I was a minor, I was major. Independent, I remember how they played us. Yeah, you see it's funny though. See how everything changed, getting money, bro. Seen them even throwing shade when it's sunny though. I ain't even in a lane though. Yeah, but I still be on the road. Head to toe on all my merch, I'm smoking at the shit. And they booking Henny too, I gotta bring my bro. Wonder if and when I stop, I tell them never know. I love you, I want you. You're the
What's
one
up, everybody?
that I live for. I can't take it.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. Everybody put your drinks in there. Let's go. You gonna need to get drunk for this raggedy bitch right here. Don't say I didn't warn you. It's gonna be bad. Trust me.
I love you, I miss you, I need you in my life. Can't you see what you mean to me?
All right. Now look. Y'all know me. Never one to not have contingency plans in the works. Let's go real quick to a little something. Let's see. Rebecca ain't on yet.
Change because
She ain't on yet. Interesting. Let's see here. Got something for your ass. Look at this troll nigga right here, y'all. Look, y'all gonna have to deal with this shit. Some of y'all still PineCreek fans. Some of y'all still, look at this. Look how racist this shit is.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
For me, as a womanist, as a black feminist, right?
I think as a black woman specifically,
being a woman and being a black woman and being a black woman who has a disability, for example.
as a black woman,
As a black Latina woman in my community, well, as a woman or as a woman of color?
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Now, some of y'all still acting like this is some thought-provoking shit. Like, somebody got to explain to me how it's still somebody in our community that some of y'all are fans of that literally on cue, like every racist right-wing troll ever, trots out the MLK, I have a dream that everybody will be judged on the content of their character, not the color of the skin. The nigga literally got, like, Fox News does this shit every fucking year on MLK Day. It is literally right out of the Tucker Carlson special playbook. This is the Tucker Carlson end around deep bomb flea flicker. And then to use this conversation about intersectionality, where you clearly have a bunch of women of color, different backgrounds, different stripes, different walks of life, you know, having this conversation, to just chop their shit up out of context, to totally try to use MLK's words against women of color. As if, like, Martin Luther King would be like, yeah, Doug. Yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind. Fuck them black bitches talking about being a black woman and being a black woman with a disability. Like, just this is the type of weaponized content that there's no other excuse for somebody to make this other than they just want to trigger people. They just want to use MLK Day. First off, they acting like MLK is fucking Jesus to black people. Like, because MLK said something, black people are obligated to unquestioningly, like, most of us, I hate to say it, like, I'm gonna say something. A lot of y'all gonna have your little feelings hurt over this, but I hate to say this, but a lot of black people don't even fuck with MLK like white people do. Like, I'm just keeping a buck with you. Like, we're cool with MLK. Like, he did some things we're certainly proud of. He's, you know, if there was a Mount Rushmore of the civil rights movement, he's earned his place on it and all of that. But black people do not sit around. I do not call my cousin like, yo, OG Roddy, yo, what up? Oh yeah, I seen your little DJ mix. Yeah, that was hot. Oh yeah, that music video, that was dope as shit. Yeah, the one where you mentioned me twice in your new song, that was dope. But can we talk about what MLK said? Yeah, you know, I was thinking about calling out these racist fuck faces on YouTube, bro. But remember when MLK said that you should be judged by the content of your character, not the color of your skin? Yeah, that got me thinking I can't even be calling out white people no more. Yeah, I don't know. It's like MLK would be ashamed of me. Like, if he saw me out here calling out racist white people, he'd be like, nigga, like, is this really? Really? Is that how he think this shit's supposed to work? Like, y'all, it just demonstrates that Doug's ignorant. And I'm sorry, but this is the type of shit that I gotta say, y'all, it cranks up that pressure on some of our quote unquote mutual friends. How important is your poker night to you, really? Because at some point, it's like you're telling us that poker and these sort of trolling videos are more important to you than the clear discomfort of your community behind somebody who is clearly out of control, clearly weaponized, clearly doing it on purpose. Just like Rebekah. Ain't nobody buying the innocent young earth creationist shit when you got a whole second channel called Examining Evolution dedicated to your young earth creationism. It's not an accident. It ain't incidental. It is your MO. It's your mission. It's right in there in your mission statement. Okay? That's how PineCreek is. Y'all have to see this. You have to see this. At what point does it just become be anti-racist or get the fuck up off the stage? At some point, it's just be anti-racist or get the fuck up off the stage. People who have messages like this have nothing to add to the conversation. Did you hear what I said? People who act like this have nothing to add to the conversation. I don't care about Poofer Drown thought experiment. Don't care about the Flying Man thought experiment. I don't care about debates against fucking Catholics and Trent Horn. I don't care. There is nothing you could bring to the table as atheists. Atheists, we're all atheists. There's a whole bunch of atheists here. We got it. You don't believe in God. We don't either. Everybody cool? Everybody cool. You an atheist? Do you believe in God? No. Answer's no, right? Cool. We don't need this fuckface for nothing. We got this. We can handle the counter apologetics on our own. We can handle the social community on our own. We can handle the politics on our own. We no longer need PineCreek around. He can exit stage all the way to fucking left. And I know a lot of y'all in the gang have been turned off to PineCreek, but we gotta keep paying attention to shit like this because some people in our community really still think this is okay. Some people in our community apparently haven't seen enough to stop hanging out with this man. And I got to be honest with you, that hurts us. It hurts us. Because if you look me in the face and you say, Jay, we're friends, but then you could turn around and you could look Doug in the face and be like, yeah, Doug, we're friends too. You're not a friend to me. You're not understanding the bar that needs to be met to be Jay Bundy's friend. Like, again, I'm not here to control every single thing that comes out of a person's mouth. I'm not here to tell you that all your friends have to agree with all my positions and I have to like everything your friends say, do, and wear. I'm not here on that shit at all. But when you have people in your life that are going out of their way to wake up in the morning all freshened up, all excited and inspired, and I hate to tell you this, PineCreek likes counter-apologetics. He really does. He likes making Christians feel stupid. He does. He really likes that shit. He loves triggering the left. He loves carrying water for the anti-LGBT, anti-racist, anti-poor people, anti-critical race theory. Like, he is really, really a bad dude. Like, I'm ashamed of myself for being a PineCreek fan. Like, I'm ashamed of myself for being a Christian. Can't believe I ever followed this asshole. But some of y'all are still following this asshole, and I got big problems with that. And just look at these. Just look. I don't know if y'all can see, but just look at the screenshots. Look at the thumbnails. Look at the smile he has he's an ear-to-ear smile when it comes to shitting on climate change activists. Ear-to-ear grin when it comes to shitting on critical race theory. If you guys think he gets this much joy out of counter-apologetics, I'm just here to tell you you're wrong. I'm just here to tell you flat out you're wrong. This motherfucker loves this shit. All right, now Rebekah just pulled her stream down. It says now the video is unavailable. Bitch, don't run. Don't be trying to run from us. That must mean she either starting a new one or something going on. Something going on, y'all. Something going on. There's something going on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, Cameron, you missed it? Don't worry, bro. It's only a minute. It's only a minute. We could review this.
I have a dream.
It ain't like Rebekah live.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
For me, as a womanist, as a black feminist, right?
I think as a black woman specifically,
being a woman and being a black woman and being a black woman who has a disability, for example.
as a black woman,
As a black Latina woman in my community, well, as a woman or as a woman of color?
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Yeah, man. Again, like, it's always on cue, man. It's always on cue. Every MLK Day, the right wing comes out with their trolls and basically tells us we need to shut the fuck up about race. I don't know if I'm being too direct right now, too explicit. If some of y'all didn't catch the real what this is the white man telling us to shut the fuck up about race. Quit bitching about your race and your handicap and your intersectionality and you're a black woman. Oh, cry me a river. Doug wants to break out his tiny, and he thinks this is funny. 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 It's the only quote they remember. It's the only quote they remember. But again, y'all, I'm just trying to tell y'all, what point is it be anti-racism or get the fuck off the stage? I don't understand why. I just don't understand why you would even want to be friends with a person like this. Look, y'all, our favorite fucking faith healers are back at it again while we figure out. Rebekah Davis, what's up, Rebekah? We got all dressed up. She got us all dressed up with nowhere to go. Now, Rebekah Davis, I'm stuck. I got a whole block of time set off to listen to you and fuckface talk about porn. You got me all dressed up. I just took a shower. I got my hair did, got my little outfit on. I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. I was planning to watch Rebekah Davis stream, then log off and go watch some fucking porn. I was going to use Rebekah, you know how people be talking about that porn, and you got to sit there and have an intellectual conversation about the porn and shit, but really you just got scenes of your favorite porno sites playing over in your head, and you be trying to sit there and be like, now listen, there's nothing immoral about touching yourself. Yes, and believe it or not, it seems to be like a perfectly natural, right? You trying to make a rational argument and shit, but really, you just going through your list of sites in your head. Like, am I going to watch X and XX tonight? Am I going to watch RedTube tonight? Maybe it's a Pornhub night. Every once in a while, Pornhub do be having a lot of selection, But see, Pornhub a little bit mainstream, I guess is maybe the way to put it. Maybe it's a shoosh time kind of night. Y'all know I got all the sites. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me look here. Let me see what's in this phone. Let me see. I can give y'all some good ideas for what to do tonight. Since Rebekah ain't streaming while porn's bad, let me tell y'all about how porn is good. Let's see what we got up in here. Yeah, we're gonna need a private tab. Yep. Definitely gonna need a private tab. Go to our bookmarks. All right, here we go. Yeah, let's see.
I'd go from Holy Spirit-filled church to
exactly. It's the night to go from Holy Spirit-filled church to Holy Spirit-filled church and get slathered in oil. All right, what we got? Y'all got to check out Reddit doesn't like this site for a list of full-length porn tube websites. Great list right there. Ooh, we got Thought Hub. That's a good one. That's a little low-key right there. That gets you a little amateur freak in there with the Thought Hub. Hold on, go back to my bookmarks. Did you messing up? All right, we got X and XS. That's for you that like your shit 90 style with the blue screen and shit.
We have a powerful cumulative case.
We got ePorner. We got goodporn.to. We got spam. You know what? They're gonna cancel. They're gonna tell me I'm out here spamming. They're gonna tell me I'm spamming explicit links in the chat and shit. Oh man!
I asked him, so what do I minister then? He said,
"I'm sorry, bro. You a trash panda. Should I listen to the man talk?" Look, I ain't gonna tell you. As soon as I pulled up and he was a black man speaking at World Harvest Church, I ain't even listen to what he just said. I said, "Bro, you a trash panda, bro. Come on, you know this, bro, trash panda. Stop acting like I'm not prejudging him. I'm post-judging him. He's in the pulpit at Dufresne Ministry with all these white folk doing a bunch of faith preaching nonsense. I have plenty enough information to determine that he's a trash panda.
To you out of my own mantle, amen? Glory to God. So let's just go over a few keys. Josh is your baby here. Yes, sir. Can you bring him? Please?
I gotta bring the baby up.
Hallelujah.
For the emotional
keys
manipulation.
To hearing. Number one, knowing that your prosperity is of God and, really, I'm not and not your own making. Praise God.
Gang, I think Rebekah canceled her stream.
I was getting ready. The Spirit of God said to me, when you come tonight, lay hands on the baby. I don't know why, but I obey God. Amen.
Amen. God told me to touch your baby today.
Father, I thank you. I bless him. I lay hands on him according to your word, according to your command. And I thank you that he receives whatever it is that you're intending to do.
Whatever it is, Lord, that he just received. Whatever. Yeah, Rebekah left us with a serious case of... She may have seen your title and put it to private.
All right. That's all, as far as I know.
Well, what good is that going to do?
So, knowing that your prosperity
is going to have a private conversation. We're just going to shit all over it later.
One of the keys to hearing.
Bitch, you can run, but you cannot hide.
Prosperity is an inheritance. It's not a reward.
Hey, look.
Because you see, when you think of it as a reward.
If we out here forcing Christians to take their streams private, I have zero problems with that. Y'all let me know if she drop a link on her socials.
Are you listening? That's why that was one of the first things.
Bitch should be running scared. Bitch be out here.
It's just the way he gave it to me. Knowing that your prosperity is of God and not your own making. Is your inheritance. It's not a reward.
All right, I gave everybody 1,000 pocket change because they got 100 messages in the chat. Appreciate y'all.
You remember the Lord talking to the people of Israel? He said, thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth or to produce wealth. Some translations said that he may establish his covenant, which is whereunto thy fathers as it is this day.
This is so disappointing, Rebekah.
God. Amen. In Isaiah 48 in verse 17, it says, there says the Lord thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy God, which teaches you to profit. But if you're not in a place to hear, you miss out on prospering. Amen? And he leads us in the way we should go. So one of the major keys to hearing is recognizing that your prosperity is of God. You don't prosper because you're too smart or you've done everything
gospel
right.
Of prosperity
you inherited
tonight,
prosperity. And because you inherited prosperity, your goal becomes
don't worry, y'all. We got plans.
To hear.
We're taking care of this right now.
To hear. Amen. Hallelujah.
Bitch, I cannot be stopped.
Another key is to acknowledge God as your only source. I know you know these things. Amen. Acknowledge God as your only source. Why? Because God is not restricted to your job or your business. He can bring you increase from any direction. But when you don't acknowledge him as your only source, you will focus on your business, or your whatever you do, your job, and have you ever heard some of us pray, Father, I'm believing you for increase, on my job, increasing on my job. Why do you want to restrict him to your job? Just believe him for increase, and he can bring it any way he chooses.
That's right. That's
Amen.
right. Amen.
See, if you don't do this,
All right,
you're basically saying,
all right, here we go. Look what we did, y'all. I changed the stream title. We're going to get right to it. Let's go ahead and hit up the... actually, we're going to do Jesus Longs to Heal, but first, YouTube Punk shared this link with me, so let's watch this.
What if you could speak your mind without fear of judgment? We brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and created a space for them to be completely honest. What will be revealed when they take the mask off?
There is something wrong with LGBT people.
I'm going to say a strong
wow.
no.
Let's go.
Yes, I believe that homosexuality is a sin.
Wrong answer.
But saying that like LGBTQ plus whatever, people, there's something wrong with them as people, as human beings. That's a harsh statement. So it's a hard topic.
This is a really sensitive topic because I know that a lot of LGBTQ people have been hurt by the church. They've been hurt by Christians. I personally have family members who identify as they, who are homosexual. While God hates sin, he loves the people, and he loves the homosexual, and he loves the transgender because he died for them. But the problem that I do see with LGBTQ people is that the lifestyle, it does take away a lot of things. They're depressed, they're lonely all the time, and that's not the life that God called for you. When you receive Christ, the Spirit of God can deliver you from homosexuality. And I've seen it happen with people who identify as bisexual or homosexual, and God delivers them, and they no longer choose to identify that way.
One thing, the Lord says that if you have sinned against one law, you have broken all the laws. And so every single human being is wrong. Like, if you ask that question, are homosexuals wrong? Well, sure. But are they a different type of wrong? No, they're not a different type of wrong. They are the same wrong as I am.
I feel like we tend to magnify the LGBTQ community. For example, I come from a Hispanic household, and sexual abuse is brushed under the rug so many times. Straight. But you choose to magnify, let's say, my gay cousin over my molester uncle. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with both.
And the question is then, why do we magnify the sin of homosexuality? It's because no one goes around saying murdering's okay, that theft is okay. But there are people going around saying, well, love is love and homosexuality is just love, and they're trying to justify it. And so the church has to do some sort of defense, and that's why this sin gets more attention than the others. Yeah. And so they can escape their shame not by marching down a street shouting pride, embrace who you are, look within. They can escape their shame by casting it on Christ and receiving his forgiveness.
Amen. Women who get abortions are murderers.
All right, now look. This shit crazy, YouTube Punk. This a winner right here, boy. This is really good. I had to change the title of the stream for this one. Now, notice that they were basically 100% in agreement with this, right? Because even the people that said there isn't anything wrong with them, they said that, that it was a sin or whatever. So they just didn't. They were just trying to take the softer stance, but basically every Christian agrees, all the Christians agreed that, and again, like, I really love this. They're almost exclusively responsible for the anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment that still exists in our society. And I think it's our responsibility, not just as LGBTQ plus, but as A's, as allies, that we call this shit out. And this is going in my list. Not the right list. This is going on my apologetics video. That's stuff that I think should be shared with family and friends. This looks like a good video to share with some of these family and friends. Also, we're in the cafe. The line's open, James. If you want to call in and talk about some of these things, we'd be happy to have you. Damn.
It is God who gives and takes away life.
Nope.
Man or woman has no place taking a life that they didn't breathe into. There is no going around that one, I think, for Christians. You kill a baby, that makes you a murderer.
This topic, sorry, it gets me emotional because I've just
appreciate
seen
you,
people
Kata.
go through that, and sorry.
Oh, hang on. All right, you should be able to hear me and gather now. Sorry about that.
And they feel it in their soul and in their spirit that it was wrong, and they deal with that pain.
Is that better, AR?
Shame and regret. My husband himself, him and his sisters, they are all a product of rape. And I mean, that's my husband. So to imagine that, like, he wouldn't be here if his mother didn't decide to keep them and raise them, you know, it's sad to think about.
I think this is a really, like, this issue is just crazy to me. You know, sure, people decide to keep babies as a result of rape or incest or whatever the typical exceptions that we want might be. But, you know, I had a partner that was this way, that basically, it wasn't even that. It was just that, like, her mom was kind of a loser, and she was just brought into, like, bad circumstances. And so she just felt like she would have been, quote unquote, the ideal candidate to be aborted. And people are just getting their emotional stuff all caught up in this issue and not realizing that, of course, like, so-and-so wouldn't be here if, you know, they were aborted, but it really obfuscates the issue. And even most people who have made that decision, who have kept a baby as a result of rape or incest or whatever other circumstances that would lead other people to abort, they oftentimes really value and appreciate that choice. That's a choice that they decide to make because they determine they want to remain pregnant. Yes, they may have become pregnant via unfortunate circumstances, but it is their choice to remain pregnant. And nobody walks around saying this, like, in normal times. Like, oh, yeah, you know, my husband's mother gave his father a blowjob, and one night she splooged all over his face, all over her face, even got a little bit in her eye. And it makes me so sad to think that there could be some other godly man out there just like my brother, but he just became eye cum that night. And, you know, she wiped the wiped her eye, and there goes that offspring, right? Like, we never take any other situation by which a person might not be born, and then tell it in this dramatic retelling. Like, yeah, all of us could not be here by some, you know, random thing that could have happened along the way. And it just seems like, again, Christians are often so uneducated with regards to fucking everything, it seems like. But they are schooled from a very early age, from the pulpit, from their parents, from their family, from their social groups, to know exactly the right, AKA the wrong, sort of emotional triggers to pull in all of these conversations. So they never have a fucking education. They'll never have a clue or an informed perspective based on the real world, but they always got just the right trigger argument, and it's fucking obnoxious. Is that James? I hear air. Or somebody's joined me.
Yeah.
What's up, James? How you doing, man?
Not too much. Reading the wonderful chat. We got a great group in here tonight.
We do. It's unfortunate Rebekah left us hanging. What do you think happened? What do you speculate as to what happened?
Honestly, if I would have remembered that tonight was porn night, I would have been there. I just would have been. Oh my gosh, we would have had such great chat discussions. Oh, missed opportunities.
Yeah, I hope she didn't see our stream and pull it because of that. That would be sad. But what is like? What does he think? Like, people are just gonna just let her just be all out here with the awfulness? I don't know. She should have seen this coming.
What'd she say about porn? What was her position?
She didn't say. All we got was a thumbnail, and it was just supposed to say, is porn bad for you? And let's see what she put. Let's see if the description's still up. It was Armin Navabi, founder of Atheist Republic, joins me to discuss pornography. Is it bad? If so, why? Atheist Republic fights religious intolerance and violence, advocating for victims of oppression, and seeks to unite atheists around the world, giving them opportunities to express themselves free from religious dogma. Here's the website. Subscribe. He has a book, Why There's No God.
Sure. Yeah,
Sex traffic on mainstream porn sites.
I follow his page on Facebook.
Yeah, I assumed it was gonna be all Rebekah goes, porn is bad, and the atheist goes, porn is fine, and then they agree that some people have problems and can really be destructive with their porn problems, and then they hold hands and tell each other how brilliant they are. I don't know.
Well, her official position is that as long as you believe in a Jesus, literally any Jesus, you're fine. So as long as you believe in the Jesus of porn, then you're saved. So
I didn't really have a problem with porn as a Christian. I knew I was supposed to, but I certainly didn't. Maybe it's just because I started watching adult films early in life.
Fair, yeah, so did I. Whatever I could get when I was young.
Yeah.
When I was really young, I mean, we had to settle for like Victoria's Secret and Sears catalog, anything we could get,
Yeah.
Imagine the rest, but it's just some types of porn can be unhealthy, and overconsumption of porn can be unhealthy. But that's the same true of food, right? Or drink,
everything, water,
everything, man.
Yeah.
If you get a overly contaminated toxic source of it, or if you consume too much of it, you're gonna have health problems. It's true of literally everything in life, including marital sex, right? I mean, it's true of everything. So, like, I don't even know what her issue would be, really.
My thing too is I just think she thinks that. I don't know if she thinks this, but I certainly need her to understand she's not going to get a free pass on this shit, because I actually do think this is really harmful, right? And again, I don't know Rebekah, but I'm willing to bet my church experience is just as valid as Rebekah's, right? I'm sure me and Rebekah could go there, right? And not even on some atheist shit. I would just be like, Rebekah, go fuck yourselves. Why? Because even as an atheist, who also has, training in evolutionary biology and human sexuality. It's what my master's was in and all that shit. I feel terrible sitting around a group of young men aged 18 to 22 who could be building bridges, not of love and understanding, but actual bridges or skyscrapers or doing laboratory research. And instead they're sitting around a circle damn near in tears, often in tears, really, about they can't stop touching themselves. And for them to just keep acting like, and of course is what they're going to act like, but that this doesn't have real consequences, that this isn't doing real harm to people, to keep up this fucking charade that somehow you're going to burn in hell because you watch porn. And it's like, people like this just have to go away. It's like fucking Doug. Like, you just don't add anything to the conversation. I'm sick of the. I guess they're not knocking on our doors anymore, but they're just being in our neighborhood a lot, and it just bothers me. I want there to be, at least for my peace of mind, like, I did my piece to fight back and make them uncomfortable, making everybody else fucking uncomfortable.
Right. And it's such an ill-informed position that they've got anyways. I mean, obviously, the other 11 apostles sometimes watched Jesus and Peter get it on. We just know that they watched, right? So what would make it porn if there's a glass panel between them and now it's porn? Like, come on. It's like gay Jesus would not be
beloved disciple.
Yeah.
And
they're so clueless.
David was doing freaky shit.
Yeah,
and the Song of Solomon's, let's not even go there. That just basically was porn. It just is porn. Like, the books of Solomon are Christian porn. Again, it's like we got the same conversation. Like, does the Bible endorse porn? Like, we had the dumbass conversation about, does the Bible endorse slavery? And it's like, well, let's just go to these super erotic passages that, like, actually make most porn producers blush. Like, most porn producers, I hadn't had the shit about the fawns and the deers and the, you know, they be getting real graphic and descriptive. Porno directors be like, yeah, normally we just get some cute girls in here, they do a little bit of fucking, somebody nuts on somebody, we call it a fucking day, but this shit.
Yeah,
you know, the Song of Solomon is one of them pornos that they spent like $1 million making like a 3-hour film, and you just skip through it for the erotic parts, and you're like, I don't really know why they bothered with all that, but it's so that they can all feel like they're serious filmmakers and shit. And you're like, you know, we just here for the booty, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll work for nuts. So, I mean, and the thing is, it like represents their opposite views about sex versus violence, because they can have a movie up there that shows, you know, that represents their religion, where their violence is absolutely gratuitous. It is absolutely horrible, the violence with the bloodshed and just the violent acts and everything, and they feel like that's suitable for children. But you can't have consenting sex between adults, and even adults can't watch that. And it's like, what's worse, right? Like, consensual sex that somebody else sees, or non-consensual violence that somebody else sees. And they're going to say the consensual sex is way worse than the non-consensual violence. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's like some opposite world that they come from, where they can't justify their moral positions.
It is literally
at all.
Put down the porn, go play Call of Duty. That's the fucking that's the mindset. Somehow that makes sense. And what do you get, Lupin? You get fucking incels that can't reason for shit, but can snipe you from across the map while they tell you that most shootings are government propaganda. So it's crazy. I was watching Lupin earlier, man. That shit had my head spinning, bro. What I realized is, like, so you know how we call out the grifters?
Mm-hmm.
We fail to realize that grifting is an ambition. And when I see Lupin's videos, especially after he spent like a month at the Hovind compound, it seems almost like he's auditioning. Like, to us, like, if I said a name to you like Matt Powell, you probably just had to fight back the urge to throw up everything you've eaten for the last week, because you think of Kent Hovind as a human pile of dog shit, and Matt Powell as like the flies trying to build an ecosystem off of that shit. But to people like Lupin, it seems like Matt Powell is something to aspire to. Like, if only they could be such a close acolyte of Kent Hovind. And so now he's got these videos where he's like reviewing Kent Hovind's debate, which is like a significant development because it's much more intentional than like his, you know, Call of Duty and chill, let's spit out a bunch of right-wing conspiracy streams. Now it's like look, I gotta set that gaming aside and get serious about the science type of shit. And then it's like he's auditioning. This is my take on it, right? It feels like he's auditioning for like to be the next Matt Powell, so that when he goes back to the Hovind compound, they go, oh, look at these videos you're making, Lupin. These are great. Yeah, you could, why don't we promote your channel and help? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm just recognizing it as aspirational, right? You're seeing this and you're like, wow, like you're trying to be next in line or some shit. It's weird. It's real weird.
The other values don't really just don't make any sense. I mean, you've got the one passage, for example, in Bibles that says, "Happy is he who dashes your infants against a stone." It's literally about taking the infant babies of your enemies when you raid their cities and killing them by swinging them against the nearest rock face that you could find to kill them, right? And it's talking about the joy that his own soldiers will experience by doing this. But if you have the same passage that says, "Happy is he who inappropriately touches your 17-year-old," then they would have gotten rid of that verse entirely, because we can't have that. God would never approve of such a thing. Therefore, this must have been a mistranslation. We better get rid of it or change it, right? But you can keep this shit in there about like intentionally like smashing babies' heads against stones, and they're like, "Hey, I don't see a problem," right? They've got this weird opposite value system about everything, where life teaches us all one set of ideas, their Bible teaches the opposite, and they pretend like there's not a conflict there when there is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You spot on, James. Spot on. Also, they were showing, some of the chat was putting some of Hovind's Dino Adventureland stuff in the chat there. It's pretty shoddy, right? It's like all in disrepair. All right, but look, I'm excited about this video YouTube Punk shared with us about if Christians were 100% honest. We saw the part about homosexuality, we're in the LGBT, and we're in the middle of the part about abortion. Did you have any thoughts on this whole thing about them sort of being unmasked and being able to speak their mind? It really, just quickly, it reminds me actually of the setup we had for the race dialogues that I used to facilitate with our students, but of course, they didn't have masks on. But we did work very hard to cultivate a safe space for people to share their ideas, even controversial ones, and it would often be very surprising, the things that came out. But this feels really profound because it feels like Christians don't present themselves. I think we get a lot of mask off Christian because we get a lot of trolls who just never show up on camera. But I think this is just a really interesting, and I'm appreciating the candidness of these Christians, and I'm also wondering what reaction other Christians would have to this stuff.
Yeah, they're not normally honest. Like, if you ask them, like, how do you feel about gay people? Oh, the Lord loves the gay people, right? And so do I. And then people in like a mixed public setting will go, oh, I wish there was more Christians like you in the world, and hearts and likes and loves all hugs all around.
Right.
But if you press those same people in these forums, and you'd be like, well, what does God plan to do to the gay people? And they'd be like, well, he plans to brutally murder them and torture them forever unless they repent, but he loves them. That's why he wants them to repent. And then I'm like, and then I start tagging everybody that liked and loved their post in the first place. And I'm like, pay attention, motherfucker, because this is the question you should have been asking, not do you love gay people? Because they're all going to say yes, right? You got to ask the real questions, like, what do you think should happen to gay people, right?
Yeah. And
so, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so it's the whole mask off Christian thing. Is like what they say is not really what they think. It's not really how they feel. And it works the opposite way too. Now, if you take a Christian who is pretty chill about gay and thinks gayness and LGBT is fine, but you put them on a spotlight in front of a random Christian church, and that church asks them what they think, they will say gay is wrong, right? because now they're in a setting where they have these Christian peers who are going to hold them to task. And it's not okay to approve of that lifestyle or that identity or those feelings or anything else. So now you have to comply with the peer pressure and do what's expected of you within the context. So all these people going around saying, hey, Jesus would have been fine with gay people. These extreme churches get it wrong, right? We shouldn't be preaching anti-LGBT or anything like that. They know that most Christian churches are anti-LGBT. They know that if push comes to shove and it comes down to it, that the progressives who truly accept LGBT, that they are a minority still. They know it because it's just that churches are getting better and better at putting on a fake face of acceptance, right? It's not.
100%. This is all so spot on. So spot on.
Yeah.
Also, I think Pragmatic Crystal was saying that a lot of it comes down to virtue signaling, and I think that's the huge problem. Is they virtue signal, but what they do to me is they virtue signal to the wrong team. They virtue signal where they've prejudged the character of the two sides essentially, and they've totally prejudged wrong. They've totally prejudged wrong, and then it's all commitment to the narrative of the predetermined side. And so I think James, of course, your points were excellent, but the second one I wasn't even thinking about. Sort of that it works in reverse. Like if you it's kind of what we're seeing here, right? If you get them mask off around each other and they really do say what they want to say, it's going to come out. And that was a perfect example, I think, is that we get the progressive ones a lot of times who want to take that progressive stance in front of us, but the rubber meets the road when they're around each other, and they would immediately, there's no way they take that stand. And that's what really shows where your commitments really lie.
I try to explain this to my ex, who's one of our dearest friends was this guy named Todd. And I'm like, that when Todd goes to church, they talk about how all these non-Christians need to burn in hell forever. And then when he gets around you, he's all about, oh, well, you just have to be a good person. Jesus loves everybody. And you think he's not judging you. You think he's not judging you. But he goes to church and they say horrible shit about you, a non-believer. And he nods his head in agreement. Amen. Hallelujah. But then he gets around you and for some special event or just, you guys are just like hanging out in the yard or whatever on lawn mowing day. And he's your best buddy, right? And Jesus loves you and wants all the best for you, and you've got nothing to worry about, right?
Right.
And it's like, which Todd's the real Todd? I asked her, and she's like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, then maybe you need to go to his church on a Sunday and listen to what they say. You need to go to
church with him. Yep. That's the thing, because you'll hear it. And this is something too that Lena was bringing up about the church that is moving into where Lena is working, which is that now they just don't talk about anything.
Yeah.
Right now, there's just this superficial, shallow love of Jesus, be a great neighbor, break a little up, something proper for the poor.
All right.
And it's almost like the doctrine of there's no doctrine anymore. Now, there really might be, if you join the church, there might be a statement of faith that they want you to, and even that, they don't really want you to read it too closely. Like, I got into this in my church, and I noticed that because I went to the membership classes, but I couldn't join the church because they were very clear that to join their church, you have to go to the membership classes and you have to sign a statement of faith. And I was like, I'd love to go to the membership classes. Hell no. Y'all already know I ain't signing a goddamn statement of faith. So,
right.
But I realized that I think everybody just signed it. Like it was like the decision was already made. The decision, you're already a part of the church. The church wants you to already feel, but today they want you to just sign it. They're not expecting you to read it and actually think about. And if you do read it, then it's just all shit. And there's a bunch of shit on there like that. Like I'm gonna try to find it. I'm gonna see if I can find it and maybe anonymize it enough and see if we can start to see what's on there. Because I wouldn't be surprised if something like marriage is between a man and a woman or something like that is on there. Because a lot of times they do put little shit like that in their statement of faith. right? Or certainly like God as the creator. So there's little shit like that, right? There has to be, right? Because that's it's almost like creedal, right? It's like I could recite the Apostles' Creed, right? I believe in God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell. He ascended into heaven, seated at the right hand, right? Like, he's come again to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting. Amen. Right? So most churches will have that in their statement of faith, right? It's just getting you to agree to their written creed. So why would we expect their written creed to be any less creedal, right, than a creed? It's just, but yeah, it's crazy because, oh man, it's just how deep you get in with the group, and then you're just signing off on stuff to stay part of the group.
Yeah. That
Man,
is crazy.
Man, it's wild. James, this is such an excellent point. Let me roll a little tape. Can you see back there?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
All right, cool.
Maybe it was not in a good.
Also, I don't have a link. Can somebody drop a link to Carol the Atheist channel? How good was Carol's stream earlier? James, your stream was fire. That's how we found out about it. You did a great stream on social anxiety.
That's why I started that to let everybody know that was going to be the topic over at Carol's show, and kind of prep the audience and send them over so she can get some support. And she had mixed feelings about it because on one hand she really does want the community to connect with her more because she's very alone and lonely in the world, and on the other hand she has this social anxiety that the more people there are in the room, the harder it is to be on the camera.
Sure, yeah,
But she was ultimately very glad for the support, and she promised to go back and reread all the chats that
she did. She did great, and it was an important topic, and I just think she just went for it, right? Sometimes, I mean, that's what I loved about Uncle Bobby, right? I'm in the television production, right? So I'm into studio sets and who's great at broadcasting and who can keep their formats and their time, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's go, right? But that's just its own thing, and it strips away a lot of just bare authenticity because there's just so much else going on, and there's nothing like just a person in front of a camera just spitting it. That's what I loved about Uncle Bobby. Like, when I first started watching Uncle Bobby, like, there's no production. There's just Uncle Bobby, camera, wax, you know, and it just feels raw, right? It's just really great. It's really compelling. And so I think Carol was just awesome. And it was great to see her. She looked fantastic too. So
it took a lot of courage.
Took a ton of courage. And thanks, Look at the Trees and AR for dropping the link. But yeah, go subscribe, and looking forward to the next thing. That was a real treat for us today.
Yeah.
Experience, maybe you were raped, maybe you were a victim to something abusive, maybe it wasn't planned. But let me tell you something, God, he's never early, never late, he's always on time. And the fact that you were given this gift of life, and if you can't handle it or you can't take care of it, there are options.
I'm just wondering then, what would you think of people who like stand outside of like abortion places and try to stop people?
It makes me so upset, like the people who just protest and try to shove and judge and condemn others. That is not love. That is not God. That is not how he would handle people. Jesus is very gentle, and he would not make them feel like they cannot come to the Father because they are in shame or not worthy.
I do want to address, I think there's a misunderstanding about what people do who stand out in front of abortion clinics. What they're doing is not abusing them, they're not attacking them, they're letting them know that there's options, telling them about crisis pregnancy centers, offering to adopt their children, explaining them what an abortion really is. They're doing really important work. And if we all believe that abortion is murder, and we all just said that we do, well then what it is mass murder. It's genocide in the United States. It's worse than the Holocaust. And so I wouldn't want to throw stones at someone who's out in front of the concentration camp saying, don't murder Jews. I would want to go alongside that person and applaud that person for being courageous. And I think that's really important work that all Christians should support to help try to fight abortion in this country.
Such dog shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, you could tell, even though you could only see a silhouette, you could tell the kid's about 17 at the oldest. So you know he's just repeating the talking points of his fundamentalist parents. Next, worse than the Holocaust, really? I mean, Holocaust tortured to death not just millions of adults, but millions of children, including very, very young children. So how is abortion worse than that? Like, everything about their stance on abortion is anti-reasonable. Everything.
Yeah.
And even the way he represented what happens at the picket lines is false. He's either never been to one of those events, and he's just repeating what he heard about it.
Right. He's like, there's people offering a way out. They're like, no, they're often violent and sometimes lethal attacks, and they're, condemning people, and there's all sorts, there's little to no support. And also, again, you want to maybe hang a little bit of an asterisk for age or something, but really weaponizing that sort of misrepresentation of a way out. Like, just go through the pregnancy and, you drop it off at the adoption place, like a late video or something, and then go on with your life. And I just, so one thing that's interesting, so I do think he was being, again, credit to this whole video, but like forthright about the position and the stance, right? And the talking points, right? That like, this is their case. It's murder, and then they do the math, right? And then they go to genocide, and then, right? And then they just, it's a mess. But I remember when I was in high school, I guess I missed a day of class for band or some shit like that. And I ended up writing we were supposed to write term papers, and I wrote mine on abortion, and I like laid out both sides. And I guess that our teacher said that was the one issue we weren't supposed to do or something, so they gave me a C. And then when I look back, I just feel like he was like a Catholic asshole.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's really weird for me because I'm one of those people who I don't know. I just think people need to come to grips with it, right? So like, I'm a person who like, I don't beat around we want to end a human life. Like, yep, that's the deal here. I don't know. I'm just fully in the camp of people need to have their reproductive rights, and exercising reproductive options is a natural necessity. Like, it's just what happens, and it happens in often, I think, much more graphic ways in nature, right? And I think we have a rather civilized medical process, including trying to address it as early as possible, for everybody's health and safety. And I don't know. It's I don't know.
I need to do a stream. I need to do a stream on that. It's been a while since I've done an abortion stream, and I don't know how far I want to go down this rabbit hole. But everything that they say about it's bullshit. Everything. It wasn't until 1976 that Protestants in America decided that abortion is murder, or first trimester abortion is murder. Before that, there was already some sentiment about third trimester, a kind of muddy middle ground about second, but none of them thought first trimester abortion was murder. None of them until 1976, when some highly clever political leaders decided to politically weaponize the entire issue, in order to try to stop Jimmy Carter from getting elected, even though Jimmy Carter himself was a fundamentalist Christian. He wasn't fundamentalist enough, right? And they were gonna weaponize the whole issue. And they turned a large percentage of the American voting public into one issue voters.
Absolutely.
and just the rabbit hole goes so deep into that.
It does.
The whole thing's everything about it's bullshit. I'm like, look, if it's a baby soul and it dies, doesn't it go straight to heaven? And if you let it live to adulthood, isn't it probably going to end up in hell instead? And shouldn't you be prioritizing its eternal fate instead of its life on earth? Shouldn't you be sending it, giving it a free ticket to heaven instead? Like, if I was a Christian and believed in that shit, I would create as many babies as I could and make sure to abort everyone.
Right,
I would
that
create
was
babies
because then you're just
Yeah.
you're just pumping them straight to heaven.
Yeah.
Also, I've always, so one thing that stuck with me when I did do that paper was I remember reading something from a doctor who worked who it's what they did as part of their responsibilities, and they just said, of course, everyone would love to live in an idealized world where this didn't happen, but like so many things in life, we have to make sure people can do this as safely as possible when they need to. And I got to tell you something else, James, because we're doing our little survey, but yeah, we should do a whole episode on this. I've done a couple. One when they first announced they were going to overturn Roe v. Wade, another when they actually did. But it's always worth revisiting, especially we've grown a lot since then. I'm not just pro-choice, right? I'm pro-abortion, right? Big difference. I think because I literally think there's a big difference. Like I don't just think they should be safe and legal. I think people should do it when they determine that that's the best option for them. Like you should. Like I'm 100%. It isn't like I think it should be legal. Oh, it's okay. I'm not going to judge you. I'm like, bitch, you think that's what's best for you? I'm gonna judge you if you don't. You need a ride?
Right.
And like I also support people who want to parent with two. Like my mom's thing was, she really appreciated the fact that, my dad wanted to have me. And my parents got divorced real early in life, but a big part of the relationship you guys see me have now with my dad is that motherfucker knows he wanted me here, right? And so I feel strongly about male reproductive rights as a result of that, right? Because I grew up at a time where everything was about deadbeat dads, especially black fathers, right? And my dad lived in another state than me, but my parents always coordinated that shit like some A+ students, So I always said it's important that a father wants his children, right? It makes a huge fucking difference. So I support people who say like, that's part of the picture too, right? They're in a situation where they don't want to not only do they not want to make a baby, if they don't want a baby, they don't want to make someone a father who doesn't want to be a father. I respect that, right?
Right.
So I'm literally like, yeah, let's do it. Like and I think it's one of those things that should even be like, like the state should pay for it. Like it should, because it's like an essential thing, right? Like I think if we were more reasonable about our healthcare, we would have free healthcare. It would be part of healthcare, so it'd be kind of a non-conversation on both fronts, right?
Right. And even Christians in other countries, developed nations, think that the Christians over here are crazy for their stand against abortion. So you've got millions, actually billions of Christians in other developed nations looking over here saying, what the hell's wrong with your guys as Christians? They've lost their goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And but that conversation isn't happening between them, right? Like it's not, and it needs to be.
Yeah.
And and I try to not bring my antinatalism into the issue because
you're like, yeah, we don't even want. But let's be honest now. We're also anti-babies. Let's keep it real. This is a real easy decision for us.
The answer is always no. Don't have the baby. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's just we're like if you insist, like
right. But I gotta be careful because like I got people that are pro baby and I don't want to offend them and make them think that I'm the monster.
James, I'll be honest with you. I'm pro people wanting to have babies because as much as I'm not like a hard never, but I'm like a good without it. But for me, that's an evolutionary instinct, like to wanna eat, to wanna fuck, to wanna drink. Like people want to reproduce, like literally. So I definitely don't judge, because if you have that urge, like that's you. You're wired to mother something. Like go get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you should be with somebody who's wired for fathering. You know what I mean? Like ideally, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely no judgment, because I do recognize. Matter of fact, like I say, sometimes even with the again, my mom's a corporate executive, so I'm all about let's have a female president. I look forward to voting for one. At the same time, I support women who are like, yeah, I really want to be a mom, want to raise a family, want to stay at home, want to, do this or that with my domestic life as a priority. Because I have both type of women in my family, and they were all amazing, right? So it's all good. Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I don't pass judgment on other people for their decision, but I just wish we can get the same thing from Christians, from fundamentalists.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. All right, we're gonna keep this rolling, because any of these issues we could do episodes on, I'm sure,
Right.
and maybe we'll get some more ideas.
I have had sex outside of marriage.
All of y'all, come on, let's go. Woo! Oh, that's sad.
Sorry,
Ooh.
I'm so sorry.
Oh man.
I hit the right leg now.
Oh wait, hang on.
Doing it.
Oh wait,
we're on
hang
many
on.
cycles with that. Like
What?
I've had an
What?
orgy with females.
Hang on, wait,
I've
but
had-
wait. What happened? But wait, what? Did they not know? Could they not remember? What was that about? That was weird, right?
That was weird.
All right, we're gonna see that one more time. That was just a little. Look at the timing, y'all. The timing's a little weird. I had sex outside of marriage.
Sex outside of marriage.
Time to think about it.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
2 to 5, and then like, oh wait, no, I gotta be honest. Oh wait, no, me too.
Everyone was doing it. We're on many cycles with that. Like I've
That's
had an
funny.
orgy with females. I've had, that one
My
person
type of
you can
Christians
just hit
right
up
here,
anytime you
baby.
want to, and they're available. At some point you have to stop avoiding a sin, because God hates not sinners, but the sin, because it comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And I'm now married, and my husband abstained till marriage, and he has had to deal with the repercussions of my sin in the past.
Yeah, I wasn't.
And this is some bullshit too. Like, oh my Lord, because, and I seen this, like, y'all, look, let me keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all right now. I have seen pastors do this from the pulpit. Yes, just imagine your little narrow ass sitting there on Sunday morning with your Sunday best on, with all your friends and family around, everybody up in this place. Music was just good. Jay Bundy was just on. Come on, let's keep it real. All right. But now, look, your man is up in front of this whole congregation talking about all the wild shit you used to do when you were in college. Right? And he's putting your business all up in the congregation. It's like Sal, it's like Sal Wet Dream, basically. And then he's talking about how he has had to deal with, how he has had to show grace to you because you dared spread your legs for another human being before you met his little prude Christian ass.
Mm-hmm.
How humiliating is that shit?
Right. It's crazy.
But that's when your virtue signaling knows no limits. Like,
Jay.
Hey, what's up, AR?
Bread of Life stream is going to be on in about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Just let you know.
All right, thanks, sweet. Let's get that Bread of Life watch going. James, somebody better tell her we got people for that. Somebody better tell it we got people for that. Ain't gonna escape us.
Saved until I was 20, and before that time, I did have sex outside of marriage. And even when I was first becoming Christian, I would hear people say, oh, you can't have sex outside of marriage. And I said, okay, well, I'll do everything else, but I won't do that one thing, because that's a really hard thing to give up.
You know, when you have sex with somebody, it's really hard to move on from that. You start feeling all types of things with yourself, and it's just remembering that God doesn't say this to be mean or to be a dictator, but to protect you.
Yeah, if I can add to that, to be completely honest with you, I'm scared of sex. I had a very traumatic experience when I was younger where I've had family members intend to take advantage of me. And because of that traumatic experience, I just have had that fear to be enclosed with just one man in a room.
Wow.
Even though I have not lost my virginity, pornography has been something that has been rampant in my life. And that sexual sin as well is truly, in my spiritual experience, has been almost equal. Going wrong against God, going wrong against self, that brings so much shame, so much guilt.
It does.
But when the forgiveness comes, we see the true glory of God.
This is what we're going to be dealing with, y'all, this pornography. And this is what this whole about to be telling us here, about the shame and then da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but the true glory comes from the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I wish I could go upside her head.
As we see how broken we were and how reformed we are through Christ.
Anyone who isn't Christian is going to hell.
Yeah, for me, this one's a pretty easy one. John 14:6, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
Thank you. Appreciate you for
Christians,
being
when we say we believe in
honest.
the Bible, either we believe what Jesus said or we don't.
Yeah, it's a tough sentence to answer.
And so I just want to start out by saying welcome, Armin. And Armin is like the most godly atheist I know. And so,
wow.
And you know,
That's
what
not a compliment.
I don't know
not
how you feel about that,
not even a little
that
bit.
adjective, but you know, for me, godliness is loving people, and what I see from Armin is his great love
Important
for
time,
people.
y'all.
And
Becky
so,
trying to get us canceled tonight.
For me, he's just a stellar example. Like, I think every atheist should follow Armin. And if you're not a member, subscriber to the Atheist Republic, please go and subscribe. The link is in the
That's
description.
that love bomb, James.
And
love bombing.
Armin's,
now you're not supposed
Susanna
to let it
and
rip.
the other people at Atheist Republic are doing.
She's doing
some
it to earn
wonderful
credit
things
so that she can
around
get
the
away with
world.
more
Of course,
shit
some
later.
things I don't agree with, but
James,
overall,
we're so
I think
on
they're
it.
doing
This is so
wonderful things
fun.
advocating
James is
for
here.
people who have really suffered because of
I used to feel so
religious
lonely
laws
trying to call
and
this bitch out.
things that are
Right.
quite oppressive. So I'm so
how
impressed
it's
with
meant
your
to be. You're meant to feel
organization.
like that way.
And so, but the way that this conversation it got started is that Armin and I had a talk about diplomatic relations between the Kingdom of God and the Atheist Republic. And I mentioned that, you know, one thing God would like the Atheist Republic to
Not
change
happening without
is
me and James Apperson at the table.
promoting
Right.
porn. And Armin, you were so kind
we
and
didn't
humble,
authorize him to
and
negotiate
and
for us.
Armin
Nope.
said,
Nope.
if
Nope.
I find out that
The
porn is
Myronist
harmful to
delegation
people,
says no to all
I
of
will
this.
change that and I won't promote it. And I really believe that you are sincere and honest about that. So thank you for being willing to have this conversation.
Thank you. And again, sorry for the missing of the
Hey,
first
he looked
time
like
that
he
we
may have been
agreed,
in a few. You know what I'm talking about?
to meet, but now I'm here. But yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, I will, of course, not just
Armin
porn,
speaking from
anything
experience.
that I do.
Check out the
that could be harmful.
OnlyFans for
Well, no,
the
that
Atheist
net
Kingdom or
result
whatever it is.
harmful. I will stop doing that. Yeah, for sure. And if this is one of them, I would like to know. I don't think it is though, but we'll see. We could talk about it. And yeah.
Well, then maybe that's a good place to start. Why do you encourage and distribute porn?
Well, I mean, it's not encourage. I don't encourage it for everybody. I encourage a responsible use of it, and it's not for everyone. Like I compare it to, I mean, it's actually not as bad, but like let's compare it to alcohol, for example, right? Some people should not touch alcohol. Like if you show that you can't use it in a healthy way, that you could become addicted to it, that you could abuse it, that it's like sneaking into your personal life and it's making you incapable of having normal relationship, then you shouldn't touch alcohol in the same way that you should not touch porn, right? Like if you're somebody that could use alcohol like once every while and like in a social gathering, and it's not, you're not becoming addicted to it, it's not really harming your personal life, then every once in a while it's okay to have a drink. But if you are noticing that you can't stop, that is, is in the same way, porn. If you are like, it's not, it's really stressful and for people, if you are not in a relationship, right? You can't just, it is a need, it is a bodily need, right? For you to somehow find a way to release all that pent up energy, right? And it's a lot, if you can't, it is harmful. I think it's harmful to your mentality if you just constantly force yourself to not just use any tools to just reduce those urges, right? Like just between relationships or between even meeting with the partner that you're with, if you just use if you use porn just to I don't know how to say things. There are certain things I want to say that I think YouTube is not gonna like.
No, don't worry about YouTube. I don't care. Don't worry. I'm not monetized or anything, so you can just.
I know,
freely.
but
yeah.
I just don't want to be so crude here. So I know it's a Christian channel. It's a Christian channel. I'm just trying to behave. I don't know. But
that's the nice part about being over here. We don't gotta behave.
Well, I think it's harmful to both the creators of the porn and it's harmful to the viewers of the porn. So, and I guess
this is a contorted argument anyway from the Bible.
But of course, my idea is coming from, I believe God created us, and there is like things that are good for humanity and things that are not good for humanity. And so I think
adultery,
that
right,
like an ideal human is a human that is loving people. And I think
chat, what do y'all think about that?
It is encouraging people to be lusters rather than lovers.
Oh, lust.
And it's
so
really
it's like
damaging
to
the person.
Sex outside of marriage.
Why is it rather?
Why is it what?
Why is it rather?
Coveting your neighbor's spouse or some shit? I don't know.
Time? Or sometimes like want to focus on. Sometimes we want to focus on one of them, and other times we want to focus on the other. Like one doesn't have to come at the expense of the other.
Usually look at the trees. Comment.
I think because
hold on, let me see
it's training your mind, and so like you're training your mind in certain ways, and so porn is training your mind to like consume human beings for your like satisfaction, right? Consume.
That's I mean, okay, so we are not consuming humans because they're still there after.
Daddy said they're not making connections. No, let's talk to Rebekah, y'all. She just
so. But when I'm lusting over somebody and enjoying them sexually, they're still there after we're done. And also that's something we're training our brain. That's something that we're born with. Is it okay if we're like I'm interrupting, like, or do you want me to wait until you finish? Okay,
no, we're having a conversation.
Okay, but it is an innate property of our brain to want to lust after people. I don't think this is a matter of training. This is a matter of biology.
He wasn't talking about her sentence. He noticed she was rubbing one out. Like, am I interrupting? I can wait.
I think our biology includes like sexual desire.
Oh man.
but I think that sexual desire is intended to be
It's funny she used that word. She said our
intimacy
biology.
in like
right.
in a loving relationship.
Not necessarily. I mean, that is a form of expressing it. It could and for a lot of people, including myself, that's an ideal version of it, but it's not necessarily meant for that. You could enjoy. I mean, separate just from the porn talk. Like, what about if me, for example, and a woman, right? Or for people who are gay, like a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. If we let's say we are not in love with each other, right? We like each other, but we're not in love with each other, and we're both attracted to each other. And let's say, for example, we meet at a party, and it seems like we're both very attracted to each other, and we want to enjoy each other sexually. And there's no love. There's no love here. I mean, that doesn't mean that our life is going to be without love. Like maybe
Right.
we are, but in that moment in time, we want to enjoy each other's bodies sexually, and we do that. And maybe it's just one night, and we do that, and then we go our way. I mean, what's the harm in that? Is there any problem with that?
I think there is. I think there is. Well, so you said there's no love involved. So why wouldn't there be love involved? Would that person not be worthy of love?
Oh my goodness.
The person that you're enjoying sexually, would they not be worthy of love?
No, just because I don't love them, that doesn't mean they're not worthy of love. Of course, you could be worthy of love without me loving you. Me not loving you doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. It's just I don't love you, but
I can mute it. I'll mute it.
So Minas, that's right. It's live, so we can't just pause it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So it's like if a wife in a Christian home serves her husband food with love, and that's always what she does. Now it becomes immoral to go to a restaurant because they're serving you food without love, and it makes them maybe feel like they're not worthy of love. It just doesn't make. I think the analogy works. I think that's it.
Yeah, she just doesn't.
Flaw.
It's Becky.
Isn't bad. I would say there's no action.
It's just
that
sex
can
is bad,
possibly
right?
Be bad for a human being.
It's just
Nothing
sex is bad because it has to be.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not what we say. Okay, so in my worldview,
No, I
that's
know,
not my
but
worldview. Okay, but
you're gonna have to back it up, though. You're gonna have to back it up, and that's gonna be difficult. Go ahead.
No, it's actually quite easy. My worldview is that we don't want to see suffering. Okay, we want people to be happy. We want to maximize well-being and reduce misery. Right, so that's our standard. Right, so we look for harm reduction when it comes to moral standards. We look for harm reduction. We don't look for what God said. We don't look for the ick factor. Right. We look for harm. If we see harm and we see that the harm is more than the overall beneficial effects, then we're like, okay, that's immoral. That's what we call immoral.
Well, I definitely agree with you if assuming my worldview is true. Okay. But if your worldview is true and there is no God, how do you know what is harmful to a human being?
I mean, it's sometimes it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes it's hard to detect, but I think it's in the right direction. But like, for example, I don't know, holding your head over, holding your head in a stove, for example, and turning it on. That's like a clear example of something that is harmful, right? So that's sometimes it's very obvious, right? So we understand that, I don't know, poverty is harmful, disease is harmful, anything, these are sometimes it's very clear. Sometimes deciding
Crystal, she never takes her own
harmful
advice.
requires a lot more analysis. Sometimes it gets very difficult. But even
I want to
times where
address that too, actually,
difficult
because
to calculate whether or not something
poverty is harmful, and yet Christianity tries to impose poverty as a righteous, moral way to live, and so they're not concerned with harm at all.
Damn, I never thought about that really. I mean, I always thought it's fucked up to tell people they should be poor, but it is objectively a form of suffering. I mean, because it leads to all of the actual forms of measurable suffering: hunger, lack of education, lack of health care, lack
Disease,
of opportunities,
domestic abuse.
disease, domestic abuse, crime, incarceration, everything.
Saying different things, so there's no consistency over there either, right? So at least we have something that we could measure here.
Well, and you know, I think that's great that like okay, what do I want to say here? Okay, you're right that there's not consistency always about what is moral and what is harmful for humanity in religious systems. But I think the problem is that in your system, you actually, there's no, okay, look, human beings, if my worldview is true, human beings are designed, okay? So they have a purpose, like there's an end goal in mind, right? Like there's something that we were created for. There is an ideal version of humanity.
I was created to paint
ideal
the town
life,
white.
something that we can look to that points of what is good for humanity. But if I assumed your worldview, I wouldn't be able to say what humanity should be at all. I wouldn't be able to say that something is harmful to humanity because there was no standard for humanity. There was nothing to say that burning your head off is not good, right? Like there's no standard. There's no.
Well, we make standards. We make standards. You know, like it's like the metric system, right? Okay. We made it. It works. Okay, it doesn't have to come. It doesn't have to come up prepackaged with the universe or nature. Okay, like we made the metric. The metric system is a good measuring tool, even though we made it up and it has utility and it's serving us. You know, we could come up with
good. That's a good one. I like
measures
that.
of good and bad that standards that we made up, and it's okay. I mean, made up standards is actually better because we make them
absolutely
in our own,
and we can refine it, we can change it,
in the way that we think it fits as our
we decided the metrics was better than the kings.
Well, I don't know why. I don't understand why the measuring thing has to come up prepackaged with the universe or nature. Well, why can't we just make these things to serve us?
Well, I think what if, let's just suppose for a minute that 90% of humanity thought that torturing babies and eating them
but they don't.
Was
they don't.
a good.
So we don't have to worry about that.
90%.
I'm saying what if? No, what if 90% of humanity thought that was a good moral standard?
She breaking that rule, y'all.
Yeah.
Thought experiments you haven't thought through yourself first.
Yeah, because they came up with a standard that's
the first rule of thought experiments.
It doesn't have the same utility as my standard. Right,
but the utility for them is good. They like it because it's pleasurable for them. Like if that's
James, we're not missing much. You can talk. It's fine.
Fuck me. What if reality was completely different than the way reality is?
Exactly.
Then wouldn't you be worried?
Yeah. What if 85% of your neighbors wanted you dead tonight? Like, just count my lucky stars. It's not the case.
Short-term satisfaction.
Oh man.
Right? When we're talking about utility, we're talking about overall well-being of a society.
Okay.
Right, like long-term effects on everybody, not on that specific individual that is doing that thing. And if you get pleasure out of torturing a baby, I'm like, oh, we're utilitarian, then go ahead do that. Like, no. What about the goddamn baby that you're eating?
Lena said that was a PineCreek quality thought experiment. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Right?
That was
so we're talking about the net effect of everybody long-term on the health of the society, not that specific individual, and not in a short amount of time. That's what we're looking at. So yeah, like for example, this example is pretty easy to rebut when it comes to our utilitarian calculation.
Also, quickly, I'll talk about something I've dealt with in my own life, which is the pressure to be in romantic relationships where maybe a sexual relationship would have done. Right. There's a lot of that, especially in the Christian circles where you're getting married young and all this tragic shit that, a couple months of sexual intercourse and go your separate ways would have been probably a healthier alternative for everybody involved.
Okay. So if it's born at 20 weeks and it survives, is it a baby?
Wait, let's have that.
Why the hell did we get on?
Let's have a stream about that later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is like, just because it's you can say, well, it's not okay. Let's take another example that might not be, anyway.
It's so hard
I don't
for
know
them
if
to
this
get
is
off
the right
their
track
little...
to go on because we could get caught up in this for quite a long time and not talk about the porn.
Yeah, let's talk about porn.
I feel like I can show you how porn is harmful.
All right, let's do that.
Even without.
Let's do that. Another analogy, that'd be good. Yeah,
like God's, what God desires for
humanity.
No.
Stick to the
God.
God
So maybe
stuff.
we can just kind of cap it on, look, God wants people to be loved. People deserve to be loved forever. Having a sexual encounter with someone and not being committed to them is like a way of telling them, sending them the message that they are not worthy of being loved forever. And
that's not the message. How do you get that? How do you think, like, if I'm lusting after a woman, okay? I mean, I've been lusted after, and if by people who loved me and the people who didn't love me. Okay, it feels great even if they didn't love me. Like when I do you know how big of a confidence boost that is?
Seriously,
I didn't feel like I
like it when people I can't even fuck lust after me.
I never feel
just
like, oh my God,
just somebody tell me they're lusting after me. I'm like, oh, I feel great.
I loved it. It was fantastic. I didn't feel it. Right? This is amazing.
You don't even have to know me.
I don't know why you think that.
Right? I'd be like, man, that's the nicest thing a Catholic priest has said to me all week.
How does that go hand in hand?
Well, I think it's just
it's too good.
Like I said, maybe it's just a difference that we're going to have because of our different worldviews. But I believe that God intended sexuality to be expressed in a loving, committed relationship that doesn't leave the person once they're no longer lustworthy, right? So,
lusting after somebody
like
might
she's
end
worried
up
about
loving them
the
as well.
impending reality, James.
Opens the door.
Yeah, she's always worried about impending reality.
Maybe you lust after somebody and you go there for lust, and then because of the initial drive that you had, now you discover new things about them, and then you end up loving them. So maybe because of lust, because of pure lust and no love, somebody is now loved, and now they're in their old age.
That's the best way to fall in
love,
love,
living
actually.
together and happily ever after. But it started because maybe that woman wouldn't have found this man if she was being so picky about me.
And then you're like, I kind of like
lust has to come with love. And now
I kind of enjoy our sex
never
breaks.
met that person.
You know,
maybe now they're with somebody forever and ever because they weren't so picky about their initial sex partners. I mean, there's that too.
Well, I mean, I have to grant that, your scenario probably has happened many times, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I grant that, but I still don't think that
Fati, what about all the
lust is a good
sexless
thing or
marriages
desirable
too?
thing for
Like,
humans, because still it's a...
Wait, lust at all
is a form of torture.
No. Wait, not at all? Even in a loving relationship, you don't think lust is a good thing?
I think there's a difference between being attracted to someone and lusting after them.
Yeah, lusting is
right?
naughty.
So I feel
literally
like
the same.
No, it's naughty. Lusting
let's
is
just look
naughty,
up the definition
Armin.
of lust. I'll just Google it.
All right, come on,
Lust.
come
You
on,
guys have
give
a
us the
problem with
Google.
anything that makes people happy. That's the problem.
Yep, there it is.
So it's
That Uncle
a
Bobby
very
theorem.
strong sexual desire for someone. Okay, that's what the quickest
okay. A
dictionary
very strong
definition
sexual desire
that I
for
pulled
someone.
up.
That's I'm all about that.
You
life.
are so you have a problem with a husband and a wife who love each other to lust after each other? Do you have a problem with that?
No, I guess if that is the definition of lust, okay, then I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great. We made you pro lust.
Y'all.
But I
She's
think that,
actually capable of
that's usually
listening.
not
Oh my
what-
goodness, her
like,
ears work.
The issue that people are dealing with. It's
I know if
lust
there's
for
anything under
people
the
that
hair
they're not
up there.
married to, and
Right.
Thought she had some
lust,
earmuffs
and We're
on.
specifically talking about pornography, so the effect that it's having on the person when they are looking and
Thought crimes.
lusting repeatedly
Thought crime,
at images of people they will never meet, right?
Oh, it's
and
the best part.
And it does.
We'll put the images and videos out there consensually. That's a condition for us to support.
Like I said, I know I'm falling in love with you.
Yeah,
if I don't want you to leave immediately when the sex is over. But the best part about porn is that they're
gone. I'm sure that you admit that there's lots of non-consensual.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
it's so fast. The transition,
very
closed
that.
tab wrestling.
Very much
It's
against
just
that.
it's magical.
Yeah. I think we both know like
James, I don't have to cuddle,
like
no fucking warm, moist rags, none of the. Do you need some fucking water? Nobody trying to smoke my weed afterwards. None of that shit.
Truth.
Nobody complaining. I want to sleep with the fan on in the winter. Bitch, I don't care.
I guess
if she freezes, she freezes. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Another person as like an object to satisfy.
Can I get an amen, Kenny?
Seriously, can I get an amen, Kenny?
And
this whole idea of comparing people who are being
but also
enjoyed
if somebody's
sexually
lusting
to
after you, you're
objects
lucky.
always
Like
made
you're
no sense to me,
fortunate. Like
okay? Because
damn, like times are hard. Like
when we
not
say object,
everybody's
we're talking about usually things that
wanted
are
like
not human.
this.
And for you
Shouldn't
to
take
be
it for
able to enjoy
granted.
somebody sexually, usually they have to be human, right?
Yes.
So when you're
Exactly.
enjoying somebody sexually, you're actually humanizing them rather than objectifying them.
Seriously, ooh,
Because
such a
objects,
great
again,
point.
Because again,
Armin.
last time I checked, there are very few number of people who find objects, non-human objects, sexually attractive. Hey, man! They're called objectophiles, by the way, but they're very few. So if I'm looking at somebody and enjoying them sexually, that is the opposite of objectifying.
Becky has to hold on to biblical norms, or else admit her
But
hubby ain't
is it
trying
though?
hard
Because
enough.
is a
Boom.
picture of them the person themselves? Like if I had like, let's just say I had a picture of my mom. I'm not talking about porn here, but if I had a like photograph of my mom, and I gave attention to that photograph every day, like would that be giving attention to my mom?
Wait a minute.
Well,
Wait a minute.
Okay, so
Do churches
if you have
not have
the
crucifixes
problem
and pictures
is
of
with the
Jesus
image
everywhere?
rather than that
Seriously,
person,
and Mary
if that's
and
your
all of
issue
this
with
shit.
the same thing could be happening.
So
with
are they
love,
objectifying
not just
Jesus to have a
lust,
picture
right?
of Jesus?
Imagine a husband and wife, and the husband is away.
Oh, it's objective.
And let's say, for example, this is 200 years ago, where they couldn't Skype, they couldn't call each other, and the wife is like, let's say the husband has been away for 5 years, and every morning the wife wakes up, takes a picture of her loving husband, right? Gives it a kiss, and talks to it for 5 minutes, as if he was there. This is her ritual, right? And she has the picture of her husband in her bedroom, looking at it every day, feeling like missing him, waiting for him to come back. Would you feel like this sounds beautiful to me? They're like, oh, look at it, that's so adorable. Look how much she loves her husband. Look at how she like adores his picture. You wouldn't be like, no, that's a picture of him. That's not really him. How dare you? Like you wouldn't have a problem with that, right? So that seems like pretty, beautiful and wholesome. I don't know what's the problem with the picture. So I mean, if you could see that way, there's no
To
problem
me,
with that in a
even
loving relationship.
people
why would
even
somebody
wish to
cherish,
be treated like
their
objects and
beloved,
toys when we're having
picture?
sex.
So
Because
so the element
it's
of
the most
picture and
intimate,
not the
humanizing act you can
actual
do with
person, I don't
someone.
think
So
is
you have
like
to
what we're
role
having a
play.
problem
I can't objectify you if I'm fucking
But
you.
the
So you have to
difference
tell me to
between
treat
the
you like a
picture
doll.
with the husband is that
And so
there's
that I
a
pretend
real
I'm treating you like a doll, which is an admission that you're not a fucking doll.
Right?
Right.
There's a relationship there. With porn, there's no relationship there, and there never will be. So the person is not,
obviously the
giving
relationship.
anything to the human.
You are giving something to you. You are both mutually benefiting from this. Okay, I don't understand when you are. Not everything has to be like just because a loving relationship between two people is very beautiful and wholesome. It doesn't mean that everything always has to be like that. There's like we have other needs. We have other needs beyond our need for love.
I can't
We have
believe
other
she's
needs
saying there
beyond-
could never
beyond
be a
our need
relationship there.
for
She sounds just like that stupid
companions.
judge
Sometimes
and
we
his
just need
stupid
to
protection
come.
order.
Like we can't just like not come
Also,
just because we are.
she's hinted
just
at
because
like
we're not
she
in a
thinks she
loving
has some
relationship.
sort of
We can't just wait for that all the time. We go insane.
life
Like,
before
a lot of us will go
Christianity,
insane
and
if
it's
we
almost
have to
like you don't
constantly wait
remember
for that
what you thought then or
ideal,
something.
perfect loving relationship. Do you know like this is like our brain will melt like god dang. I don't know how to explain this to you. Maybe you don't.
Well, I mean, before the internet existed, and then even let's go farther back before pornographic magazines and everything existed,
No, please,
people
let's
weren't
not.
going insane, right? I mean,
people. Okay, well, before that, people used to. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. The standard
so mad
used
at
to be
themselves.
that, hey, we just invaded the village. Go ahead and rape every woman. That used
I
to be
can't
the
wait for
standard.
3D smell-o-vision, baby.
So that was
so you're saying porn is a solution for rape?
That's not what I.
Yeah.
Yes,
No, I
largely,
know.
yes,
That's
obviously.
the strawman. I did not say
yes.
that, and I'm just saying, like,
I
I
would
don't
say it.
think you would want to
we're
go
with it.
back. I don't want to. I don't think
It's certainly
you
a
wanna go
tool.
back
We'd
to the
like
good
it
old
if,
times. They were like,
if,
oh,
that's,
you
if it
used to be
reduces
better,
it at all.
guys.
Yeah, sure, that's an easy one,
I'm
right?
not saying the porn is making. I'm not saying the porn is making it better. Okay, but I'm just.
But it's not
saying
just
the
that. There's a
standards
whole
we
lot
had
of
back
things.
then to what was.
There's a whole lot of bad decisions people would make if they had to rub one out before. There's like, I think I'm a strong proponent of rub one out, smoke one, have a drink, and sleep it off before you make any major life choices.
That's true.
You got to go through your full range.
Right, but the issue is
Right.
that it hasn't been widely available at the click like many new novel, novel experiences that can, continue on. And actually, I'm going to just go ahead and bring the science up then, Armin, because, and I know you have your science too, so you can bring up your science too.
You shouldn't do this. No, you're not on
But,
team science.
This is I'm going to put the most scary one up first for those, who I'm skipping past some of the other ones because I really want people to see this.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah. Actually,
I've closed my
put the
eyes.
link
Please tell me
to
these aren't
this-
pictures from her
oh my gosh,
gynecologist.
Is this the right one? Okay, yeah. Look, guys, there is a worldwide increase in erectile dysfunction.
Very nice.
Okay, and this has all happened in the time period where internet porn has become available. There is something.
Wait, did she
happening
just prove
in
that
the
it
brains of
decreases
people.
rape?
This is
She just
for
proved
the
it
first
decreases
time
rape, right?
Ever. Young men
You can't do
are
anything with it if you
suffering
can't get it up.
erectile
exactly.
dysfunction at a rate greater than old men.
As if Christians
Something
are
that used
worried
to be
about our
almost
boners.
non-existent. Erectile
Right.
dysfunction
Like,
was so
like as
low
if they're
in,
worried about our boners.
young
like,
men.
this
But
is just so
now
dishonest. It's fear mongering,
young men
right?
are having erectile dysfunction at a very high rate. And now let me go back and
Wait,
Also,
go
I
back
gotta
to
be
the
honest.
first,
Nothing really kills a fucking good jerk session like weeping afterwards because Jesus is pissed at you. So fuck this. Christianity is erectile dysfunction.
Description, but
wait, does this mention
You
porn in
literally
this study? Like
nut and
okay,
pray.
yeah, it
It's a
does,
weird
but
cycle,
later
bro.
on.
Okay, but it doesn't. Right now, I'm reading
but-
the abstract. It doesn't even
Yeah.
tell you the cause. It just says
Right.
that
Well,
ED is
this one does. Okay, look, that one doesn't
Okay,
go
so-
into in depth.
Okay, what if that? Okay, so we can't just throw a study that is not showing the causation and add that as if it's proving anything. So
Okay.
that's the first one we should ignore unless we want to dive into it because it's just saying erectile dysfunction.
And this one is just the
It doesn't even
title.
like there's a gazillion different reasons why that might be happening. So it does.
Someone needs to teach her
didn't
how to do
isolate
scientific research.
The porn factor, and it's like so.
Well, it discusses it as a.
I mean,
it
if it-
discusses the connection, but you're right. I put this one up here to show that that erectile dysfunction is a problem. This
Okay,
is the
don't
one.
you can't do that, Rebecca. You can't
Okay.
just throw that because we haven't established a connection. You're just scaring people without actually establishing a connection.
We can read the
Yeah.
article right now if you want, but I
Okay.
mean, this is good. Look,
Okay.
everybody can
Okay,
go
but
read
here-
it for themselves, okay? Because
Yes.
I mean, if
Also-
we want to go into depth, we can. But
Also,
yeah.
we also have to distinguish between what kind of porn usage. Okay, because porn usage
Yes.
doesn't
And what
necessarily
is
cause
erectile? What is
dysfunction.
sexual
It is
dysfunction?
possible
Like that's
that
such a broad.
excessive amount of porn usage.
Everything about this is wrong.
It's not possible.
Right.
It's more than likely, right? Because I've seen the studies. Yes, excessive porn usage causes
Excessive,
a lot of problems.
right.
A lot of problems.
Excessive anything causes problems.
It's
almost like we said this conversation was going to go like this before this conversation happened.
Like alcohol, for example, alcohol consumption has caused a lot.
Now I'm worried about the damage caused by our upset.
Guys, I told Cameron the blueprint for this conversation 3 days ago.
Those people should, unfortunately for them, they should never touch alcohol. Okay, but just because alcohol has caused a lot of problems,
bingo
that doesn't mean the people who are like using it responsibly, drinking it like every once in a while socially, they're not seeing all that damage because
I gotta
they
go to bed
know
in a
how
minute, Jay.
they're capable of controlling
bro.
themselves, and they're
Appreciate you,
capable
James.
of enjoying
Yeah,
it
same.
without
I'll catch the rest
letting
later,
them
you
become
guys.
addicted to it
man.
and letting them harm their social life. So I could show you so many studies right now that could show the destructive effects of alcohol usage. All right, but that does not apply to, for example, me, who drinks maybe maximum once every 2 weeks, and it's not affecting my life negatively. In the same way, porn is not. I am a casual consumer of porn. It's not going to affect my life in the same way that many of these studies show, and I could show you some other studies as well. But go on.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you can show your studies. I'm just trying to show here, though, that this one does show a connection between internet porn and the sexual dysfunction. So, and so you guys can go read it because I did put it in the link.
Does it show correlation or does it also show causation?
Well, I mean, that's probably going to be debatable, but I mean, if you consider, I mean, what else would you consider as a possible, reason that, this is suddenly occurring at the same time
there's
that
a million reasons. So many
that's what
lifestyle
studies
changes.
are supposed to do.
And this is the other thing. It's like
isolate,
you got to remember
all
too, like
variables.
Yeah, like
right? I mean, they can't.
There's so much that correlates with internet porn, phone usage, internet usage overall, devices. And this is what I mean. A lot of these things don't matter. Even if they were like, even if we did make these links, right, it would just be like, hey, these are some of the changes in the modern environment. This is some of the consequences of it. These are the things we should be aware of. So we moderate it or, figure out what we got to do. But part of this is arguing from some sort of idealized state of humanity where if, people get a little bigger, get a little taller, get a little bit hornier, get a little bit less hornier, they're ringing a 4-alarm fire like humanity is going to cease to exist, when in reality it's like, okay, who cares? Dudes are a little less hornier because they get their nuts off with pornography. Great.
And unlike alcohol,
nobody gives a shit.
So alcohol doesn't seem to have any positive effects, right? Some people trying to, like, even the ones that we thought it had, it seems like that was like wrong, right? So it's just purely pleasure, right? Porn has negative and seem to be having some positive effects. It seems so. So if we're not against producing alcohol, given that porn in moderation could also be even beneficial, it doesn't seem like we should be stopping from creating pornographic material. But yeah,
right. But I haven't seen the benefits of porn yet, so you'll have to show me that.
Well, I mean, I have because I have a summary of a page that has gathered all the studies and links to them, right?
Yeah.
And I could I actually don't come with the positives. I actually have maybe a summary of both the positives and negatives. I just found a good page that just links to everything, most of the good
Rebecca's
studies
Bread
that
of
exist
Life.
already. Because I think if we want to judge this, we have to look at
one of your younger
we can't just cherry pick studies
kinfolk
that proves our point. We have to look at both sides and look at the net effect, not just
yeah, totally. I'm in total agreement with you. And my main argument for you is not scientific. It is that it's not what God intended for humanity. But I'm trying to back that up with science, but I understand that there may be mixed scientific studies, mixed results on that.
I like
I'm
science
happy to look at the
when
other
it
studies,
says what I
but
want
I'll
it
just
to,
quickly
but I
go through
ignore
these
it when it
slides, and
doesn't.
then
Is really annoying.
This one shows that the issue between the reduced sexual satisfaction that occurs frequently, and there's I'm going backwards, so let me just go back to the beginning. So
and who told them? Why do they
this
think
one is one
flashing
about the
papers up
connection
like this
between
is a good
sexual
way to have a
aggression, although
conversation?
we don't know if that's a causation thing or if it's just happened to be that the same people who would watch that type of porn are also the same type of people who would be violent. But there are studies that the brain structure, it actually changes the brain structure.
Okay,
even
Rebecca,
and especially within.
They're like,
go
this
ahead.
is not how you make a
everything
case
we
for
do
anything.
changes
This
our
is a
brain
really
structure.
bad way
Yes.
to argue. I don't know why
Like
apologists
us talking
do this.
together
It's a really
right now is
bad
changing our
tactic.
brain structure. Love changes your brain structure.
Yes.
So
not the way you
I know
make a
I don't know if you're
presentation.
anti-love, because love also changes your brain structure.
No, I'm saying it's in harmful ways. Like there's things that change your brain structure in positive ways, and then
Okay,
there's
but-
things that change it in harmful ways.
But saying, I don't know, this seems like the title seems to be so aggressive, because I don't, if we have to decide whether the harm or benefit, like that's something we could judge separately. But saying it changes your brain structure, like there's very like every experience changes your brain structure. There's like almost nothing you can do without changing it changing your brain structure. Every single experience you have is like building a new connectum, right? So of course, like how could porn not change your brain structure? Your experiences
she's a real
like that doesn't really, that sounds
ardent
a lot more scarier than it actually is,
anti-evolution
like, 'cause,
voice.
Well, but if you think about the way that it's changing it, because you're responding to stimuli, right? And the stimulus of internet porn is that you get novel experiences.
Maybe you can get her to come
over
down
and over
to
again.
Dinosaur Adventureland.
And so
I would
the
watch the
reward
shit out of that.
cycle in your brain, it gets used to these novel experiences, and then it has an effect on you. For some people, it causes addiction. For a lot of people, it's addictive, and for those who,
for a lot of people, it's not. I mean, yeah, okay. Let me agree with something. Okay.
Okay.
If you seem to be addicted, okay.
I feel bad when like
if you're addicted,
I've
to
been
porn,
falling asleep a bunch lately, and you like wake up and you realize, damn, I haven't watched some porn in a while.
And maybe porn.
And you
is not
realize
the right
all the
thing for you,
opportunities for
okay?
them good
Maybe you're one of those people who should
splooges
just not touch
that
porn,
you've been
okay?
missing out on.
And if okay, so here's a good way to know maybe that you should stop watching porn. Okay, if you are looking forward to watching porn more
Right
than
now?
fucking somebody, okay, then porn
Mhm,
has had a
mhm.
negative impact on you, and you should stop watching it.
Or
Right?
maybe you just need a better sex partner,
maybe,
though.
Maybe again, porn is not for you. Okay, but let's look at some. Let's look at a summary.
Because it just might mean your dance card ain't
No,
really
not
filled
positives.
with
Okay,
quality.
I'm not
I
gonna just.
understand
I'm
that,
not gonna. I like what you
We
did.
call
I'm not
that
just gonna
situations and
cherry-pick just one side.
circumstances.
I'm also going to look at positive and negative. Okay, because there are negatives. There are negatives, right? So, but like we have to be balanced. By the way, that came off as too aggressive against you, Rebecca.
Oh, no,
Sorry,
that's fine.
I didn't mean it like that. Okay, because I appreciate what you're doing, because you genuinely care about helping people. So that's very nice. Okay, so the good thing about this is that I love Healthline, because Healthline like is one of those websites where everything it says is like, I've been using it for a very long time, Healthline, to look at different claims about supplements, food, exercise, different health effects of everything, because usually every time it has an article, right, it's usually backed up by studies, and the studies are pretty good, and it's pretty balanced in the way that is. I've seen a lot of people also use it, right? So, and again, so it says, is pornography really that bad? Okay, so it says, let's start by saying a lot of people watch, read, look at, or listen to porn. There is nothing inherently wrong with that. If you don't approve of porn and don't want to be exposed to it, there is nothing wrong with that either. It's
okay, wait, stop there for a minute. How are they supporting this claim that There is nothing inherently wrong with it.
I'm not gonna try to agree with everything that this article is saying. I'm using it to look at the studies that they are linking to. Okay, so I'm not necessarily gonna say that the content in this article is right, but I'm just using it because it has clicks to a whole bunch of sources that maybe we could look at, right? Just as a summary of the things that might be out there. Okay. It says it's all a matter of personal preferences. In this article, porn refers to movies, photos, and stories created by and for consenting adults for sexual arousal or pleasure. Okay. So it says most people who use porn can do so without negative consequences. So most people
how
who
is
use
that
porn,
backed up though? This is it. Where's
Right,
the
let's
study
look at
that
it.
shows that? Okay.
let's look at that. Okay, so it looks at this. So this is the study that. Okay, do you guys like dark or? Okay. So I guess this is the study that is using. Okay. So one thing you need to do with studies is that you can't judge what the study says just by reading its title. Okay. So there's a lot of data and stats in this study. Okay, and you could go dig it up and read it. And it seems like there's a part of the study that shows.
All right, so I'm gonna spend a minute or so waxing about the bigger problem here. This is not a healthy way of exchanging information with another person. And I feel like this is one of the side effects of the debate me bro culture that maybe we don't talk about as much. All right, so we all kind of are familiar with the debate me bro culture. Like, you have two people, they're not really listening to each other. They both have a side, and it's it's word wrestling entertainment, right? It's just this sort of combat rhetoric. And what happens is when people sort of set aside the chest beating and the all the sort of nonsense and the rah-rah that sort of can create a dumpster fire, and they try to have what we would consider a more quote-unquote productive or civil conversation, we still don't have high-quality conversations. And part of the reason is because we're still in this debate me mentality, and we're still like in this battle mentality where you're trying to dominate the other person. When I sit down with my advisor, or I sit down with a lab, or sit down and have a lab meeting, or somebody gives a presentation at a talk or something, right? Like, of course, they're going to have some citations of their sources. They're going to be, letting us know, if really important people on a particular topic have, given some of the background information that's really important. But you have to remember that people aren't starting from this hyper skeptic position of, I don't believe you. I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. And so you get to this place where people are like just flashing, articles in front of each other, expecting the weight of the title of the article or the one or two sentences that they highlight from the abstract to like carry the weight of their argument. And then everybody gets into this game of challenging every single thing that comes out of a person's mouth. And then everybody's got to back that up with the citation. Well, when a person like has to dig through their citation tree to like explain 3 sentences of their position to you, you don't even know what their position is. And we're not even talking about their position anymore, because we're talking about, well, how did they know this? And how did they know that? And what did the study say about this? And how do they define that? And this is really all a win for the side like Rebekah's, because she didn't have shit, right? So it just makes it's their grand strategy. They don't really have a case to make. They can't really support any of their stuff. But if they can make you look silly or make you look bad or pick apart your stuff, so she's just sitting here trying to poke holes in his argument, and it's like he's doing a good job. There's nothing wrong with, but it's more like he's just doing something that we do too much in this culture, not recognizing that when you're dealing with a bad faith actor like Rebekah, it's not going to move the needle anyway. And when you're having a conversation with someone in good faith, you don't need to do all this. So it's just more of a debate tactic, and it really, I don't think, helps the conversation very much. Contrast this with like our conversation with Leo on The Big Bang, where for the most part, Leo like just summarized the stuff on his own sides and kind of explained things. Maybe once in a while referring to an illustration, but right, like he wasn't sitting there digging through different citations. This is almost like what Rob from Sentinel Apologetics does. I don't dislike him. I really like Armin. I think he's doing a good job. I just don't think this is effective. Like we don't even do this when we're teaching, right? We wouldn't even teach grad students this way. It's just weird. Like if we need you to go through papers, then we give you the citations and ask you to go through it on your own time, so then we can sit down and have a fucking discussion about it. And then when we come down, we have the discussion. And so I get frustrated seeing these conversations where we're not even having a discussion. We're just throwing citations back and forth at each other in like this fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card like combat thing. It's super weird.
I understand that, but like we can, just like we could enjoy a movie that is fake, but we understand that. As long as we understand that, if we're aware of that, we could enjoy porn knowing that it's fake, but as long as you're aware of that, right? Okay, so it's not that there's anything wrong with fiction. It's fun. As long as you don't lose sight of this, you just fine. But if you start comparing your body, sexual performance, or ability to attract a sexual partner to fictional standards of porn, you could be in some issues with confidence and self-esteem.
Can't be honest.
So again, we don't say that about movies as well, right? Like let's say you watch a very romantic movie and it's a very healthy, you see these people are so in love. Do we say ban that? Because like, what if people could look at them and be like, oh my god, nobody would ever love me like that, or I would never love somebody like that? Should we ban that because it could have that negative effect on you? We don't ever say that, right? All right, so it isn't a stand.
See, like that was a great argument. You don't need a slide for that. That was meat and potatoes right there.
Sex education. That is wrong. Sex education is something very specific. I agree with that.
He did use this to summarize good points. I give him that.
There's a lot of science that goes into sex education. You can't just replace porn with that. So I'm just going to skip that part. Many people think porn should be added to a sex education curriculum. There's a lot of porn out there. It's easier than ever for children to be exposed to it before they're ready. Yeah, so this is something that we want to avoid. Kids are forming ideas about sexuality. Again, I don't know if you want me to click on the sources here, but I think we both agree with that. Kids are forming kids are forming ideas about sexuality from the porn that reaches them, but without nuance or life experience to put it into context, right? Without guidance, some types of porn can cause confusion about serious issues like consent and objectification. Again, I have a problem with this word. Some teachers in the United States already address porn literacy as part of comprehensive sex education. A 2017 poll of more than 2,000 adults in Britain found that 75% support including the impact of pornography in school sex education classes. Again, so this is how you tackle the harm of porn, right? So yes, porn could have serious harm, but I think like the idea of like, oh, just ban it or just stop it is not the right way to go approach this, because that actually could cause the relationship people have with porn a lot more toxic.
Casting
right?
Couch
Something
HD
that is so hard to avoid and so hard to, it's kind of what religion does with masturbation. Just as masturbation is a sin, and it's a thing that you cannot avoid. Like people were masturbating ever since they were capable of. Like it has been with us for all of our human history, right? And even if you could, like, masturbating too much and getting addicted to it could be seriously harmful. But what could make that harm even more toxic, that relationship more toxic, is selling people the idea that they could abandon it altogether. It causes so much frustration, and they will eventually lapse back into it, and it will make them feel like failures and incapable of controlling everything. I think
these
like
the real
the way that
issues.
you go
And
about
she
fixing
gives
these things
no
is to come
fucks
with it
about
with
the
an
real
educated
issues.
mind,
None.
like understand your relationship
None.
with porn and masturbation. So. And
On
find
either
a way
side,
to
she doesn't give a
have
fuck.
control over.
She doesn't give a fuck about the people who don't think porn is wrong but have like a serious problem watching too much of it, and she doesn't give a fuck about the Christians who are dealing with all the shame and guilt from porn. That's ridiculous. She just doesn't care. Just doesn't give a shit.
Not one word about masturbation. Okay, so.
Oh, so you're okay with masturbation?
Well, I mean, I personally don't think masturbation is good for people. But what I'm trying to say is that, you cannot find biblical support to say people shouldn't masturbate. So I'm not, I personally
you cannot
wouldn't tell
find
anyone
biblical support.
don't
So we're done,
masturbate,
right?
But I do think like the
So we're
porn
done, right?
and masturbation
Wait, why are we here?
together is very bad. So.
Okay, but
so
what does
porn and masturbation
the Bible
together
does
is
say
bad?
something about
What?
lusting, and it's
Right.
not very healthy. Okay, it's
So
actually
squirmy,
so insane.
Lena.
Like,
so squirmy.
Actually, I wanted to talk about that.
Come on,
because
if
we're
you're
like,
not here to stand up
whether
for your
porn
biblical
is
worldview,
bad
what the
or
fuck
good,
are we here for?
Think about how the Bible talks about it. Like, if we want
Bitch,
to
we
talk
could be
about
watching
horror,
HBO Max right
this
now.
is seriously some insane stuff, right?
Okay.
Jesus in the Bible says, like, this is the New Testament, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the Old Testament. No, this is the New
Right.
Testament, right? Jesus says, like, if your eye lusts over another woman,
Look, if I
right,
can't watch porn, I'm going to
you
get some more
should
alcohol. I'll be right
take
back.
out your eye. Take out your goddamn eye. The man is insane. Okay? Like, chill the F out, Jesus. Like, what the hell? Okay? He said, take out your eye because it's easier for you to take out your eye rather than having worms eat on it for eternity in hell. Because apparently if you lust over somebody, the punishment is worms eating on your eyes in hell. So you're like, you better take out your eye because you need to let go of that thing or else you're going to be tortured. Okay? So this is not healthy, Rebekah. This doesn't seem like a guy that is talking about these things with the right mindset. Okay?
Yeah.
It seems like he needs to speak to somebody. It seems like this Jesus guy needs a therapist. Okay? But again, not somebody that I would want to take advice from.
Well, Armin, do you ever use figurative language? Do you ever?
Yeah, I do, but not if I was told that what I'm saying is going to be used as a guidance for people. That I would be very, very specific, because that is dangerous. That is irresponsible.
Okay, wait.
Like,
did any of Jesus' disciples gouge out their eyes? Did anyone listening to Jesus gouge out their eyes? Do you know any Christians who have gouged out their eyes?
No, because they're not as insane as Jesus, apparently. No, but I'm just saying that if I know that what I'm about to say is going to be cited over and over again, and people are following my religion, right? Like every single word, okay? Then I would be very specific. And I would have references. I would like every single word that I would be using. I would have definitions for it. The Bible itself is not a really good means of communication, right? It's really hard, like as just like the Quran. But I'm just saying it's not even if it's not, he's not being literal here, and it's just being metaphorical. Let's say, for example, he's not saying like literally take out your eye. Okay, it's just an unhealthy way. Like people lust.
Why?
People lust because it's just like it causes a lot of shame and self-disgust, and lack of confidence and a feeling. I mean, that's the whole point of Christianity, anyways, to make you feel disgusted about yourself, right?
Really?
Yeah, to make you feel. Like
I don't feel disgusted about myself.
Yeah, because you have like accepted the medicine that the solution that Christianity has offered, right? So it comes in phases, right? You come up with like you make people feel disgusted about yourself, ashamed of yourself, and then if you want to get out of that shame and sense of self-disgust, then you have to accept their what they're selling, which is Christianity. Okay, so you have go on to the next phase. But the first phase is to make you feel like you're a sinful, disgusting, pathetic, worthy of nothing piece of crap that could only become worthy if you accept Jesus, or if you could become more than something that is only deserving of torture and hellfire, which I know you're one of those Christians who doesn't believe in that. But that's the generic understanding of
she just doesn't believe in hell. I just can't
without Jesus's forgiveness, we're just worthless pieces of crap, which is not healthy. Not healthy.
That's wrong. Actually, I think that's wrong. I think you're right to reject that idea. Okay. So I will agree with you that is the process, and even I'll call it a tactic of
Susanna. Can we highlight Susanna's comment as well? Sorry.
Yeah, let me find it.
Saying Susanna, Christianity 100% here. This no.
Oh wait, okay.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and so Christianity made her feel 100% disgusted with herself. I agree that actually happens a lot in Christian communities, and I really hate that. And I don't think that's right, and I don't think people have to go through
jerking off to sex workers is the healthiest sexual
in order
expression.
To get to the good stuff.
Literally,
okay?
literally, Wayne. I don't understand.
I don't think
She's
Jesus
so far
came to
removed
bring
from reality.
shame to people.
We created an industry called adult entertainment for this purposes, where people get to be tested and work with other professionals.
There's nothing at all wrong with humanity. Like nothing. There's no
they
problems
get paid.
here. Like humans don't need to change at all. Is that what you're saying?
Y'all, here's the real problem. The real problem is that the sex workers that literally are making a living off of the repressed sexual Christian men like Rebekah's fanboys literally then shame them and treat them like shit and verbally abuse them and harass them after literally spending, every waking moment that their wives or supervisors aren't over their shoulders watching them perform. They then make them feel like shit. And, that causes a lot of emotional and psychological trauma to sex workers. But, again, Becky don't want to talk about the real issues.
Takes a picture of our standards and, moral systems and way of life at a certain point, and it keeps wanting to regress to that every time we're trying to progress and do something better, right? So humanity keeps trying to do things better than Islam, better than Christianity, better than Hinduism, better than Judaism, better than Buddhism, and we constantly are being convinced by these ancient texts that no, just stay here and just keep doing these things differently.
Yeah,
what is the likelihood
I don't want
the best guys to
debate? You can't
how to run a society, how to live a healthy life
Judeo-Christianity
is best understood by people who wrote these scriptures at a time where humans' understanding of science, of psychology, of sociology.
Does anybody know who this person is? Where does this come from?
The understanding was the same as the time that by people who had no understanding of any of this. Like, look at the level of understanding people had about all of these subjects, and think like, are those the people that we want to appeal to figure out how to do all of these things?
I don't know who you are.
I mean, it's like, the Bible and the Quran. These are like goat herder's guide to the galaxy. We have so much better information. We have so much better data.
Wait. Like, is that biblically
You know what, Armin?
God's
you
perfect
might be
spouse?
surprised, but I'm going to agree with a lot of what you just said.
Okay.
I do think that religion and I do think religion holds people back.
I think it's
a lot of
biblically.
Ways. So I agree. So I think especially with women's issues, LGBTQ,
go away, Christian interlocutors. We're trying to learn about porn from Rebekah Davis.
I mean, I don't think that porn is one of the issues that is being held back, by the Bible or by religious.
What does the Bible say?
We're
what
trying
does the Bible
to get Rebekah
other
to
than
show us
the
her
verse that I mentioned? What else does it say
knockout
about porn in the Bible?
Well, I mean, it doesn't
biblical lessons
specifically talk about
adult
porn,
entertainment.
but it says, okay, I'll read one of a passage that I love, and it's from Galatians chapter 5. It says, "You, my brothers and sisters,
All right,
were
thanks.
called to be free.
Come back when
but do
the
not use
subject
your
is
freedom
intercourse
to
with
indulge the
deities.
flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish
Wait.
ambitions." Okay.
Wait, can you read that list again? The list.
Sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery.
What is sexual immorality?
What's the sexual immorality?
Not there. No.
Nope. Yep. Nothing.
Well, I'm not very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
because I mean, there could be. I mean, I'm against sexual immorality. I just have a different definition for what is sexually immoral.
right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the word there, I could be wrong, but I do believe it's like fornication. So,
But
sexual.
and also, it doesn't. Do not indulge yourself in what? In something of the flesh.
Yeah, it says, "Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh."
What
does that mean? Indulge the flesh.
Well,
it just doesn't mean anything.
I guess the desires,
It's whatever she
lustful
feels
desires
like is your
Again,
lustful.
so
Today it's lustful. It could be gluttony. It could be.
What if I'm in a loving
sloth,
relationship with a wife or somebody with a husband?
What about
Can we
a
not
pair?
indulge in the
I desire for pair
desires
flesh.
of the flesh? Then
Well, you're going to enjoy being with your wife.
What
right?
about the sensuality?
yeah, but so that would be indulging
pair?
in the desires of the flesh. What's wrong with that?
I like an apple
Well,
bottom
I mean,
apple.
Is
Do you
that
agree?
really? But that I'm not agreeing with that. I'm saying that's something different than
How
being in
is
a loving,
how
intimate
is
relationship.
having indulging in desires of the flesh? Is that the phrase that it used? Indulging the desires of the flesh?
I don't know, y'all. This has got me wanting
Do
to
not
order
use
like an
them
edible
to indulge
arrangement
the
right
flesh.
now.
Indulge the flesh. Am I not? So when
Am
by the way,
I
look at the way-
am
look
I
at
the wrong type
language
of
here,
pervert
okay?
for this
By
stream?
flesh, he means the body.
All I'm
No,
thinking right now is
actually,
mangoes
it's not
and
the body. There's
strawberries.
another word for body. I believe in.
What do you
Greek,
mean
the
by
body.
flesh? What do you mean by flesh?
Well, it's kind of like there's lots of different uses of this word flesh. Sometimes it means like something, like a sinful indulgence. Okay, like a
Flesh. Definition of flesh. Flesh, the soft substance consisting of muscle and fat that is
Yep.
found between skin and bones and animal or humans. Okay.
Okay,
This
that's
is
not
a
a good
reference.
but that's not
I-
look, then
It's a reference. Okay, so Rebecca, I know your interpretation of Christianity
Oh, yeah,
always makes it
meat.
seem better than it is. Okay, but what it's actually doing here is referring to the body, but it's using a disgusting. It's trying to use a disgusting. Trying
Yes.
to refer to bodily
Trying to
desires
using, like,
as if they're
animalistic
gross, as if they're
language.
No.
disgusting. Yeah.
Armin, no. It's look what it says are the acts of the flesh. Okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't say your body is disgusting.
Why is
Okay.
it? Why is it referring to it as acts of the flesh? So the things that is listing as things that are immoral, okay, is saying that right after the acts of the flesh. Okay, so to me it seems like they have
The stream is
Christianity
making me
has
so
a problem
hungry.
with satisfying bodily desires,
just
as if
ate
our bodies
dinner.
are something gross and disgusting,
No.
and our desires,
Mm-mm.
as our earthly desires, are something for us to be
Well,
ashamed of.
some desires are gross. Some desires are.
Some of our innate
Right?
desires are gross.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
desire
Innate
to
desire.
ignorantly
so
talk
this-
on YouTube
You're
about
saying
things you don't
you have
understand.
a different definition
Yes,
of
gross.
innate than I do, because I don't think we're in
Gross.
our innate state. I think we are in a corrupted state. So what
Yes,
you
Yeah,
naturally
corruption.
sense
That's,
right now-
that's exactly
Corruption.
what I'm saying.
Like when
Okay, so
ignorant people
you are-
miseducate
you-
people.
You
Corruption.
are looking at the current state of the human being, okay, as corrupted.
Seriously.
Yes.
And our current state is our
Fallen.
biological state.
Right.
So the problem is that the things that are so fundamental and so inherent with our psychology, Christianity looks at that and says, "You," And this is why, because of religion, we have such an unhealthy relationship with who we are. And
That's why we have so many fucking mental health problems.
Christianity teaches us to feel like, look at that, and we like call it corruption. Our innate desires.
So, do you think then
let's give everybody
sexual
a really
desires
unhealthy
always
image of
produce
themselves?
good results for humanity? Like when people act on their sexual desires, does that always produce a good result for humanity?
Of course not. What a stupid question.
Yeah, if they use it, no, well, I mean, again, depends on how you. It should. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so you could try to satisfy your desires, right? And you could do it in a very unhealthy way, and you could do it in a very healthy way. Okay, not indulging in them is going to be most likely unhealthy. Okay, you could. There's most likely three options. Okay, indulging them in an unhealthy way, which is destructive, harmful. Not indulging them in it at all. And given that you're human and you have desires that needs to be satisfied, that's also not very helpful. But there's another option. You could find ways to indulge in them in a healthy way, in a non-harmful way, in a responsible way. And you do that not by saying completely abandon something. Okay. In fact, if that's more likely to get you back into consuming it again in a non-healthy way, right? You have to be reasonable. You have to be like you educate. How you educate yourself, right? You go and you look at studies. You look at other people's experiences. You read about it. Okay, you look at the potential harms, right? And you use other people's experiences to come up with a methodology, and you have to experiment. Okay, because again, what studies don't show you is studies don't show you exactly how you are. Okay, because studies show you averages, and you are not. Nobody is a study. Nobody's needs and desires.
It's serious. She doesn't.
Personality.
It's like she doesn't
match exactly what a study is like, because again, those studies is a
she doesn't
wide
hear
range of people,
herself.
and
She
you
doesn't
don't know where
hear
in the study
herself.
you would be. So you have to experiment. So that
Like most apologists, I wish she would just give her sermons in the mirror, and they'd be wonderful.
But and what you don't do is that you don't use Christianity or Islam, because it's again, me and you and everybody else is very different. Are the thing that makes us click, the things that makes us sad, the things that makes us happy is a huge spectrum. And and religion comes up with template solutions to very complicated issues. And every time, when an ideology comes and tells you here's what everybody should do, and here's a solution to this problem as a whole, you should be running away. You should be like, I'm an individual. I need my specific solutions to my life. Okay, to my personality. Your blanket solution to all of humanity cannot work. It's impossible for that to fit for me, for my specific desires. So that's why, so that's my solution. Just study, try to learn from other people's experiences, but also experiment so that you know yourself better.
Okay.
I like Armin.
Well,
I like Armin. He's done a good job.
like I said, if I had your worldview, I would even go beyond what you're saying, and you know what I mean. So, like, I'm just saying from my worldview, if my worldview is true, then I believe it is harmful to press into lust, and that's actually not what we were created to be. So you're referring to like a biological reality, and I acknowledge that human beings have sexual desires, right? But that there is a way that God created us, and there is a way that those sexual desires should be expressed.
Okay, so I don't have those beliefs, right? I don't believe in God, right? So we have two ways to go about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either I believe in God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I see through everything through a Christian perspective, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is bad. We shouldn't do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we look at it through a non-religious perspective, and a utilitarian perspective, which is not necessarily the same thing, right? But for me, it is, right? And we try to figure out what the harm is, right? So you're saying if you had my worldview, you would agree with me, right? With my conclusion.
I would agree. Not only is porn not bad, but I would agree that nothing is. I would go beyond that and say there is nothing that can be called bad or good.
But Rebecca, that's not my worldview.
I know it. Look, I mean, I'm talking about the God or no God. I realize you're a utilitarian. Would I be a utilitarian? No, I'd be a nihilist. Okay, I would believe that nothing has meaning, and that there's nothing that can be called good or bad at all.
What would you do tomorrow if you came to the conclusion that there's no God? What would you do?
Well, at first I'd slap myself and take a cold shower, because that's a really ridiculous way to think.
No, let's assume that.
Are you serious? Why does it have to be ridiculous? Like, that's just
for some reason you saw something and you're completely convinced that there's no God.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what would change in my life, but the question isn't whether or not I would do something. The question is whether or not God exists. Because if he exists, then I may still, I assume that I would still experience a desire to live morally, as I think you experience, right? You experience this desire. You find things that are, think things that are harmful to humans, and you want to avoid that. So in other words, you love people. So you want to, yeah.
So without God, we love people and we want to see them. Oh.
No, you're not loving people without God. The reason that love exists is because God exists. There's no such thing.
Okay, but if you were convinced that there's no God, would you stop loving people?
No, because yeah.
Well, then.
Okay, I know you. I understand that your worldview right now is that love comes from God. Okay, but if you had the worldview that there's no God,
like, it's not even fun after
you wouldn't have the worldview that love comes from God. Okay, so with that worldview, what would you do?
You're not good.
Well, I'd keep on loving people.
You want to beat up on somebody who's better at
So with
this.
my worldview, you keep on loving people and you care for people, you care for society, you care for humanity, you want the best for humanity. You get pleasure out of seeing other people happy, and you get sad from seeing other people sad. So with that attitude, you could see how we
when you want to win a debate versus Rebecca, you just play Rebecca back to Rebecca. You don't even have to show up.
That there is
no nihilism.
No, because I would still know that there's no substance to it. Okay,
what?
Like, I would recognize there is.
That's a lot of substance.
There's no substance to it.
How is it? No, because
it's absolutely meaningless.
There's no
stuff. If I woke up and I felt like killing people, I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
Why we don't feel that? If
I
that's
know,
a big if.
I know you don't, Armin.
Well,
because
we don't.
You
Most
still
of us
experience God, a connection to God.
Oh my goodness! Because she has to be right.
Like, I try to look at things from your perspective.
Yes.
Try to look at things from my perspective.
Yes.
Let's there is no God right now. Okay, you're living in my world. Okay, there is no God. Okay.
Okay.
I'm waking up like, oh wow, there's no God. Okay, that's my conclusion, and I'm convinced. Okay, and now I'm thinking like, but I seem to still love people.
Yes.
For some reason. It seemed like the no God situation has not made me not love people. I care for people. Okay? I want them to be happy. It seems like they care for me. It seems like we have a collective here that wants to do better, that wants to create more happiness, that wants to reduce misery. Okay? That's a lot of substance. And in fact, that is more substance. Like, oh my God. Like, I would be so if I believed in God, and I thought the source of love is God, okay? And then I realized, like, oh, no, there is no God. And I saw that there's still love. I was like, okay, that's actually more substance. That's very impressive. Like, how did we do that? We are like, it seemed like we were disgusting humans that wanted to rape and kill each other, but we are, for some reason, constantly improving. From one generation to another, like, humanity is getting better and better. And it seems like we continue, for some reason, to care for each other and support each other and make everything better. And we're doing that without God. Like, I'm impressed. Good job, humanity. Like, go, humanity. Like, that's a lot of substance.
No, we're not doing that without God.
Okay. I do understand your perspective, Armin. I really do. But I wonder if you understand mine. Do you understand what I'm saying? That
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
What then? Please, can you reflect back to me what I'm saying, and I'll do the same for you if you want.
Okay. So what your perspective is that what we don't realize is that this love that we have, okay, comes from God. Like if God was not in the picture, everything would become meaningless because there wouldn't be any love anymore for each other. Like the thing that is driving us. Okay, no, then you explain to me.
And this is, this is the point I feel most misunderstood about by atheists.
Oh, great.
Atheists actually understand.
Here we go. Let's lay it on now. Here we go.
Okay?
Everybody listen.
No atheist.
Pay attention.
I have not met one. I have not met one that
maybe you're not
understands.
communicating. Okay, then maybe you're not communicating it
Let's
very
put
well.
our minds together and see if
I will
maybe
try.
all 10, 12 of us can put our minds
so
together.
far,
We can
everybody
figure it out.
misunderstands me, and they think that
Lay it
I
on
want to
us.
become an axe murderer. But God is holding me back. Okay,
Take
that's
your shirt off and lay it on us.
talking
All right,
like this.
or
No,
just
I
lay
know,
it
I
on
know,
us.
I know.
I guess you're gonna keep your
I know
shirt on.
that's
Fine.
not what you're saying. Okay, but this is how people act. Okay, when I start talking about this. Okay, so all right.
This is supposed to be the porn episode. Don't be mad
okay,
at
wait,
me.
let's see. Okay.
No,
and this is another misunderstanding.
But you literally said that. Okay, but go on,
Okay.
read that. Read what's okay.
Should I read it?
You just said okay.
He says, you say that without God, there is no foundation or meaning for things like love. We have no drive to do these. Now, I am not saying that. I am not saying this at all. Nope.
You literally said that. Okay,
I'm
go
not
on.
saying this. You haven't ever provided a drive for the. Okay. I don't know what he's talking about with the you haven't provided a drive for, but the first part is not what I'm saying.
All right, here we go. Y'all can we can simul chat.
And secular rarity is now saying Danny understands your point. No, actually, I don't think he does. Although there's one time that we had a conversation that he got close to understanding it. But look, I'm going to try to say
All right,
it
full screen. Here we
briefly.
go.
I'm gonna try to listen very carefully. Okay.
Okay. What I'm saying is that there can't be anything. Look, if we are just atoms and molecules that happen to come together in a certain way and evolved and built communities and everything, right? There is nothing that can either be considered bad or that you can consider something bad or good, but it's just your opinion. It doesn't mean anything, okay? And no action can be preferred over, can be morally preferred over another. You cannot say, you can't, maybe you feel like loving people, but if somebody feels like killing people, then they're equally valid, right? There's no difference. I'm saying that there's nothing to say what humanity should be, what humanity should look like. And in fact, if you even follow kind of what people's worldview, well, it's about survival, then I don't think our communities would look at all like you presented, like we would be trying to do certain things, right? So but even so, it does not matter if 6 billion, 7 billion, 8 billion cosmic accidents
Good night, none.
think something. It doesn't have any substance to it. It's not it. Okay,
None's tapping out.
You're questioning me. Look,
Y'all see we got to put in this work. Y'all see me and Uncle Bobby, we don't even get paid. We be out here dealing with Chris.
Okay,
and
you're saying it
Rebecca
has substance
and
because
Sal.
we feel it has substance.
Oh,
but
Lord.
I mean, there's.
What is substance?
Didn't I go to
Define
grad
substance.
school? Shouldn't I be able to
Let me see if I'm using it in the
I
way
don't know,
that maybe
escape
the
to some
dictionary
sort of
definition will
scientific haven and
use.
live in peace in a lab and do some experiment. I need to reevaluate
Okay.
what I plan to do with my
Well,
training.
okay, maybe I shouldn't use substance because this is all talking about matter and a solid, tangible something. Maybe something tangible is.
Okay.
I'm like, why don't
Define
any of my
tangible.
colleagues do this work with me? I'm starting to see why none of my colleagues do this work with me.
I don't know what we're missing here.
I'm trapped.
Well, I think what you're missing is that Armin, there shouldn't be there's nothing to say what an ideal for humanity
I'm here to
should
fight
look like.
for evolution.
Like you're saying harm,
but the fight is
what is
so
harm?
stupid.
Like what is harm?
Rebekah,
it's such a
the
stupid
universe
fight,
doesn't
y'all.
have that standard. We can make that standard.
Oh,
do you
the
understand?
stupidity.
And if other people make another standard.
Okay, but one of them is better, has a utility.
How do you know it's better? How do you know utility is important? Who cares about utility? Why would utility matter?
Okay, we just
you do. But who are you?
Okay, we as the human race,
I don't even know.
most
What
of
do you even
us,
say to this?
the vast
But
majority
is
of
it
us,
true?
seem to care about happiness, well-being.
Where's Uncle Bobby?
And
I
the
gotta
vast
get Uncle
majority
Bobby
of
to
us
start
seem
listening
not
to
like
more
misery,
Rebekah Davis.
okay?
I need help.
There is a few number of us, we usually call them psychopaths, okay, that don't care about that, okay? Don't care about other people's happiness and don't care about other people's misery. But even those people, they care about their own happiness,
really
okay?
sadly
and their own misery, okay? Even the psychopaths, right? So there's something
Feel free
happening
to
here,
join
okay?
us in the cafe, gang.
Given that it seemed like you're like, well, what if we didn't care? Well, we don't live in that world. We don't live in that world. We live in this world.
That should cause you to doubt your atheism, Armin. That should cause you to doubt
Also,
your
let me know if y'all want to call in. We got a phone number now.
Why do you feel that love is something real?
Well, because we are inherently born with those desires because it had utility for our survival.
Let's get
of our
back to the
species.
point. AR's got the good comments.
We are.
I'm coming back in the chat. Now I know what to say.
We are a social animal because us being a social animal made us survive. Okay? So the fact that we're a social animal means that we care about other animals within our own species.
It's more like
we
that.
want them to do better. We want them to survive. We care about them. We care about ourselves. We care about them. Okay, and that desire. Satisfying that desire.
Although Jerome Robinson did actually say that she's a female Frank Turek.
Less miserable, and there are ways that are not very effective at doing it. Yes,
you're good,
some
Lena,
other
no
people
worries.
could come up with other metrics. Decide, like I say, for example, I come up with a standard: randomly punching somebody in the face, okay, for no good reason, bad. Okay, I just based on the morality that we're creating. Based on the standards that we're creating, we decide that is bad. You're like, well, you made that up. Somebody can come and say, like, that's a good thing. I encourage that. Go randomly punch people in the face, okay? Like, okay, sure, they could come up with a standard, but that's not going to be very effective at increasing well-being and happiness in a society. Something that we want. You're like, but
you're
that's
speaking about but you're speaking as if there's a goal in mind, that there's an outcome for humanity that's
Wayne.
desired.
Yeah, the goal is happiness. The goal is well-being. Why is
Wayne? I made Becky a soccer mom in WWE. I'm gonna have to bring out her big time Beck's persona for her lies.
It's that
she's back.
She's
got that 2.0 big time alter ego.
I can make
she's
up
doubled.
things that,
she's doubling down on doubling down.
It might make them happy, but you would still call it harmful, right? Like
harmful as a net result to the society, not to that specific individual. Let's say somebody like jizz their pants every time they punch somebody in the face. I'm like, would I encourage it now? No, because it might be, you might enjoy it. You might enjoy punching somebody in the face. But when we're deciding what's moral, we're deciding the net effect in the long term on the society. That's how we're deciding something is good or bad. I don't understand how.
But do you understand that all this is a social construct? Like, it's just a social construct. Now,
and a very good one. Like, do you have a problem with the metric system? Do you have a problem with the metric system? Do you understand the metric system is a social construct?
Absolutely.
Do you understand it has utility? Do you understand the fact that we have a metric system? We've
Do you have a problem with red light, green light, yellow light?
Standard could be a social construct, and that makes it even better.
Yeah.
You know why it makes it? Do you know why it makes it better? The fact that it's that social construct, because we can constantly improve it. Because it's something that we made.
Look, we didn't even have to be in each other's mind. We had the same faith system. We both was on the same shit.
So what do you think the social construct provides people?
It provides a framework for us to behave in that maximizes our well-being.
Okay. And so, but what does it offer more than moments of pleasure on your way to death? Moments of pleasure. What does it offer?
Moments of you see, this is moments of pleasure. Our entire lives are made out of moments of experiences, right?
Yes.
You could you call it you call it pleasure instead of happiness on purpose.
Okay,
I mean,
moments of happiness. No,
because
moments of happiness.
people dismiss pleasure and people value happiness because even though they could mean the same thing, right? Moments of happiness. If you could feel, look at my worldview. Okay, we come, we live, we die, right? A life filled with moments of happiness. Okay, it's a life that was.
Guys, I had to ask the question. I said, by what objective standard do we determine God's morality? Personally, I think Yahweh is an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to something.
So I really don't understand that whole argument.
That's the whole goal.
Anyway.
The whole goal. Yeah,
the
whole
the
goal
social
is to,
construct is to offer moments of happiness.
Yeah, I like
Moments
that
of
argument is getting heated. You
More
should get
moments of
heated.
happiness and
He probably hasn't paid enough
moments of
attention to her
misery.
like us. He probably doesn't know how bad she is. He's
but
learning right now
What
in the
about
moment.
those who are going to say
He's trying to be restrained.
Your social construct may
But his
provide more
counter-apologetic
moments of
instincts are
happiness
coming out.
for you.
He's
But you know
sniffing
what?
the BS.
It's not providing me moments of happiness, and I have my own way.
But you're not listening to me,
face
Rebecca.
slap, the
I
double
didn't
face
say-
slap. Like,
I didn't say
is this
moments
bitch
of
really this
happiness
stupid?
for me. I said the well-being of a society as a whole. Okay, so you might say as an individual, oh, you're saying like your framework is not making me individually happy. Okay, I'm saying like, okay, I'm sorry, but we're studying the net effect on the society. If you happen to be one of those people that maybe like not being well, I mean, that's not true, by the way. Like our modernity and our way of life, liberalism, modernity.
All right, gang,
has
I'm
brought
just saying, I
people out
thought
of
we were
misery
going to
more than
review some
any other framework in the
quote-unquote
world.
footage.
So I don't know which individual you're talking about. I'm talking about the net effect, not a specific individual as an example.
If porn
I know,
is
Armin, but
harmful.
see, you're still doing this thing where like, okay, you're caring about the net effect, and I'm glad you are. That's wonderful. And I agree that that some of the things you're promoting are bringing people out of misery, and I care about that. Okay,
Maybe
but I'm trying to enter into a worldview where there actually is no God. That requires me to think to put myself in a very dark.
So what's your
place,
question?
okay?
You're saying these moments. This is a beautiful place. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Dark place. That's like seriously. Like, I mean, you have no idea how dark we see like religion as, and the fact that you
gang, I'm trying to get us back on topic. Now, don't know. Some of y'all think I'm trying to get Rebekah Davis canceled for playing pornography on her stream. I'm not. I'm trying to. I'm a visual learner.
Okay, then what?
You're
then what's the
still
problem?
not because.
Then tell me. What's the
I'm trying, Armin.
Okay, let me ask you. Go on. You go ahead.
Because this desire to get the net moments of happiness.
Chat. I'm objecting to the chat.
Is
I'm
a
objecting
social
to chat.
construct, right?
No,
chat. But it doesn't actually have.
I see you.
It may not have a benefit for all people, and there are people who will realize that this is a game, that it's a social construct. I am one of those people. I will realize that this is a social construct, and I don't like to play games. I don't like to play games.
It's not a game.
I don't like to play games.
Why are you calling it a game? I mean, I could call your okay. If you want to call this a game, I could call your religion a game too.
The content
you have
I
a
came
list
for.
of things that are good, things that are bad. If you do that,
I
if you
will call
there's like a cheat code that you say
the
Jesus love, I believe in you,
that's
and
Better
please forgive me,
Business
and all
Bureau
your,
about
cheat code,
this
but there's
false
certain things, a list of things you're supposed to do, a list of things that you're not supposed to do, and if you play this game right, you go to heaven.
I'm
if
going.
Not, you die, or you go to hell, depending on your version of Christianity. Okay, if you want to call this a game, that also sounds like a game. Like, I don't know why.
I'm going.
Yeah, it's just a game. But what's your problem with the social construct? What is your problem with the social construct?
Well, because what I'm saying is there's actually no real standard for humanity. There's nothing that humanity was designed to do. There's no ideal for humanity. Like,
Say that again.
You
There's
can't
nothing
look
what?
at any person. You
Bread of
actually,
Life.
if your worldview is true, you actually can't look at any
I would
person
like
and
to
say,
speak
this is what a human
to the
should be doing,
manager.
and this is what a human should not be doing.
We
I don't need
cannot
to.
do that.
I don't
promised
need to use the word
stream
should. I could use the
about
word better. Okay? I could be
pornography.
like,
It's
this
the
would be
same
better.
thing. It's the same thing.
I can't say that. I say that all the
All
time.
you can do is look at what is and accept what is. You
Yes,
cannot
y'all.
say
I'm
what
out
a
here
human
getting
should
my
how
Karen
how
on.
tall are you?
Look.
5'3".
Stop. I will ban you. I dare you to say in my chat that I can't be Karen because I'm black. What? This is America. Black men can be Karens. I want to speak to the goddamn manager.
But there's
I was
something
promised
behind
to
the
stream
social
about
construct,
pornography.
right? There's something in that case.
I
There's
want
actually
my
something
2
behind the
hours
social
back.
construct. When we say I'm 5'3", we're talking about okay, a social construct that
there's
has
something behind
substance underneath it, right? Like there's a
there's
distance that we're measuring from the ground. There's a standard.
Yes.
But there's
Perfect,
nothing.
We've
there's
been
no, in your
bamboozled.
worldview, there's no way to do that.
There is. Okay. So 5'3" is the measurement.
Rebecca said in prison, guys,
because we constructed the measurement technique. What is behind it that exists beyond our social construct, okay, is length. Okay, even without humans coming up with the social construct, the concept of length exists.
Oh my
we
goodness.
come up with the social construct
really?
to measure that length. Okay,
Is this
the
conversation about
when it comes to
length
morality,
the most explicit
what
this
actually
stream about
exists
porn
out there
is going to get?
is our happiness and misery. Okay, even if
We
we
have to
don't
make
have any tools to
innuendos
try to
about what
measure
this
that,
length
or a
is
social construct
measuring
to try to manage that,
in order to get
the
our
misery and
adult
happiness
stimulation this
exists.
evening.
So that is what we're trying to optimize and measure. So we come up the social
Yeah, are we
construct
talking
that
like
exists to
cuck
measure
white
something
dude
that already
length,
exists beyond our social
or
construct,
we
which is our
talking
happiness and our
mandingo length?
misery. So there is something out there beyond our measurement techniques or our optimization techniques.
Are we like
that we
doing
come up with
MILF
that
does
exists
teen,
independent
you know,
of us,
oh, let
of our
me be
measurement?
your first time kind of length?
I understand, but I
Or are we
just
talking about that,
I think okay,
that serious
that's fine for
BBC
you,
length, you know?
right? But people who disagree with you, let's say there's 80% of the population that says no, we don't like
We
your
talking Rico Strong
standard.
You don't like
for
happiness?
type of length?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't want happiness.
I'm entering your worldview. No, I don't care about
Oh, you're
happiness.
gonna enter my worldview?
That's literally impossible.
You ain't ready.
That's the
See,
happiness.
you ain't ready.
That by definition is something that you want.
Yeah,
That's
see,
the
Rebecca, you
definition
come
of
on our
happiness.
side, you're gonna have to make up for lost time, baby.
Happiness by definition is something, the things that you want.
I just wanted that facial expression. That was good. That was good.
Armin, I really.
All right, let's go back to the porn talk then. Because
Yep, let's go back to
mean,
the porn
look,
talk.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay,
We can go
okay,
back
okay.
to the porn talk.
Okay, but like, given that you think that you understand my worldview, okay,
Yes.
what do we do? How do we decide that porn is bad with my worldview? No more God talk.
Okay.
Like, you wanna.
Well, secular rarity wants me to echo your point. back.
No,
Okay.
no,
So
we
I
want you to
understand
talk
that,
about porn.
You have an experience of life.
Who did that?
And you have an
I
experience
need
of
a wrench
happiness and
around here
misery.
so I
You
can
like
ban
happiness,
people.
and you like to increase happiness for other people. You want a total, net, like a system that increases net happiness and that diminishes misery.
Okay, but why should we care about misery and happiness? Why
Because
why
it's
do
your
we care?
preference. It's your personal preference.
My personal preference is not my personal preference.
Well,
It's everyone's personal preference to be happy and not miserable. They have different things
I
that
said,
make
can
them
I get a
happy.
wrench so I can ban people?
So how are you
But they
going to
wanna
make
be-
your standard?
when their
What if it's the
comments are
people
off
who like
topic?
chopping up babies? What if that's the
I promise I'll be totally responsible with it. I swear to God.
And
I
it's-
swear to God, Rebecca,
That's good,
give me
that's
a
good,
wrench.
okay. Do you okay? So there's two
Give me a
things
wrench,
that
Becky.
One thing
I
that is
promise I'll be real
different
good with
from one
it.
person to another. Okay, but one thing that is universal. Okay, we understand that the becoming happy and avoiding misery is everyone's goal. The difference is what makes you happy and what makes you miserable. Do you agree? But the fact that we want happiness, that's everyone's goal.
I can agree with that.
Porn is hard.
Okay. So now we're like,
I retract my statement. Well, I don't know. Actually, no. I have to fight back on this because some people, it's not. I guess there may be different. Okay, I see your point. Okay, I'm following you now. Okay. In some way, but they may not care about their personal happiness. They may care about other people's happiness.
Y'all already know why I couldn't do porn. They be giving them females too much goddamn camera time. You understand what I'm saying? When the motherfucking United States champion of World Wrestling Entertainment, I'm the fucking star. You put that goddamn camera on me. I don't give a fuck what she look like. Come on now.
Even if you're like helping a homeless person, you're doing that because
me and the director have creative differences.
Less miserable, right?
We have a different
at the
vision
end of the day, it comes down
for
to
the
your
project.
Happiness. Everything comes down to our happiness.
Going back to academia,
now,
where my talents are appreciated.
We don't. The things that makes me happy are not necessarily what makes you happy.
Right?
However, there are general things that are close to universal. There's some general things that are close to universal. There are some differences, but there's just some things that are close to universal, right? So most of us don't like to be sick, to be poor, right? Most of us, enjoy, health generally being a good thing seems to be close to universal, right? Do you agree with these things, right? Okay, so like war, like unnecessary war, destruction, these seem to be going in the direction for most people to make them more miserable rather than happiness, right? So even though we don't have something that is absolutely universal, there are certain directions that it seems like if we move towards makes a high number of people happier. Like, for example, if there's a place where there's poverty, it seems like if we eradicate poverty, you might find that odd person like, oh, no, actually, I love poverty. I want to be poor.
Crystal, that's a really good point because like a lot of Christians, she'll make these superficial concessions on stream to seem reasonable, but they don't stick. They don't stick at all.
If a society used to be poor and now it's not poor, we can the general happiness in this, we can measure, we can know that on average happiness in this society has increased. If there was a disease, if we had a disease-ridden society and we find a cure for that disease, we could be like, okay, yeah, there was maybe one odd person that you could find. I actually love, coughing blood. I don't know about you. I enjoy it every morning. I was watching my mother die in front of me, and I was like, yay. I love mother, so much misery, mother, oh my God, so great. I'm loving seeing my mother sick. Okay. Yeah. You might find that odd person, but in general, if you eradicate, a sickness or a disease in a society, we know, objectively that on average, happiness is going to increase and this misery is going to be reduced. Okay. So
thumbs down. Stop fucking around.
These standards might not be true for everybody, but we could identify general actions or certain behavior or certain movements in certain directions that we know increases well-being, and for that's a good framework to have. Yeah, you will find odd examples, and we could talk about those in more detail and find out more solutions for those situations.
She bragging about their gold chains, bro. She bragging about their gold chains.
As long as we're moving in the right direction. Does that make sense?
Becky, we wear gold chains around our necks, not our motherfucking brains.
There's a reason that, there's an actual foundation, but behind why certain things are good for humanity and certain things are not good for humanity. And I don't think your thing actually accounts for it, because, You shouldn't. Where did this stuff come from? I mean,
Oh my God, Rebecca. Again, there's a certain desires that we have. Okay, that we know. That is biological. The measurement is a social construct. The desires are biological.
I am very clear. You don't need a God to be a good person.
If it's based on survivability.
Who's even
where
here?
Is it coming
I don't
from?
think her Christian
survival?
crowd turned out for the porn talk.
What is what's the goal of humanity? What's the goal?
the goal. Okay, we pick our goals. Okay, we have individual goals. My goals and your goal could be different. Okay, but at the end of the day, me achieving my goal, and you achieving your goal, is the aim is to increase my happiness, and for you is the aim to increase your happiness. Okay, but how we achieve that could look different. But even though there's a variety of ways of people achieving their happiness, it seems to be general trends that is working in most of our in the direction that advantages most of us, the vast majority of us. Okay, the aim is not the survival of the fittest. That's just how evolution works. That is the reason we have these desires and there's these wants for happiness. Okay, but we are not here. Our goals is not to,
I guess I could scroll down here,
the metaphorical goal that evolution has. Okay,
no, I don't like
that.
Is
evolution is the way that we explain how we have these desires and how we have these wants. But our goals is to satisfy these wants, not to somehow make evolution achieve its metaphorical goal. That is a different thing. That's Nazism. Nazism, like you're looking at evolution and like, oh, let's do survival of the fittest. We're not trying to do survival of the fittest. Okay, we're doing the opposite. We're looking at, because we care for each other. We don't look at like, oh, let's make the fittest survive. We actually go look at society. For a society is a healthier society when the weakest survive.
Oh, maybe Sunflower
not when the strongest
is
survive. We actually try to make a society healthy. We go and look after the weakest. We're obsessed with the weakest. And we go try to take care of them because we care for them. So it's the opposite of evolution.
Schedule.
Well, that's the thing is, Armin, I agree with your values. I just don't think you're giving credit to the source. I don't think you're giving credit to where humanity got this desire to care for people. And I feel like you want me to think that you are existing that way and that you have that goal, but that you didn't have God to help you get there. And I'm saying without God, I don't think, I wouldn't think that we would be here at all. I think it's...
Yeah, I know we have that disagreement, but how does this translate to... I mean, I don't know if you want to make me believe... do you want to help me believe in God right now? Or do you want me to help understand that porn is bad?
No, I know. I'm about to roast this stream in the title.
Let's go back to
porn. But which one do you think is more effective? To make me... If I was to be convinced that porn is bad, which is the better direction to go in, right? To show me that God is real, or to show to people like me, not just me, to people like me, that porn is bad even with my worldview? Which one do you think is more effective?
Well, I think it would be more, it will be an easier task to show you why it's harmful within your worldview.
Okay, so let's now put yourself in my perspective, but you see, you can't seem to do that, because every time you put yourself in my worldview, everything becomes meaningless to you. Okay,
yes, I told you I was a nihilist, so you can't have me enter that worldview.
Okay, then what are you gonna do now? Now you can't, because in my worldview, okay, so porn is okay, but if you stepped in my worldview according to you, everything becomes like okay. All right. Yes. So then you can't. So then you aren't, because actually you can't. You don't seem to really understand my worldview, or you can't really see things from my perspective. Okay. Then you are incapable of showing me why porn is bad in my worldview, because for you nothing is bad in my worldview. So how are you going to do that? Given that.
Well, no. I'm saying there's two different worldviews going on here: the God or no God, and then the utilitarian worldview. I can enter and be a utilitarian, but
you can't, because without God, because you every time you tiptoe into my worldview, all of a sudden for you everything becomes meaningless. Okay, so you can't, once you enter my worldview, but given that everything becomes meaningless for you, you cannot convince me that there's something wrong with watching porn, because now everything is meaningless.
Yeah,
so what are you going to do?
That's probably true. Okay, so then if you could enter my worldview, then can you see how porn would be bad?
Yes, I've already conceded that point to you. Okay.
Really?
If I was,
did you?
Yes.
Okay, well, how is the? Okay, so porn could, if God is real, porn is bad.
Yeah, sure. If God is real, anything that he says is bad, I guess, right? I mean, that's like an insane worldview, but sure. Like bad is like, I mean, this is a God that if I should, like, the same God if said like, hey, raping babies is good, like it will automatically become good now. Like, I mean, it's the most insane moral system that there is. Like, from all the moral systems, this is the ones that makes the least sense. Like, things that God says are good, and things that God says are bad are bad. I'm like, okay, this is the least helpful definition of good and bad.
Okay. All right. So where do we go from?
I mean,
here, obviously, I've already like that. The idea of if God is real,
all right, y'all can refresh the stream and see the new title.
I've never objected to that. It's just like, it's just such an unhelpful way of looking at the world.
Well,
but how is that going to help me? Because you said like, Armin, would you consider if the God is real, watching porn would be bad? I was like, okay, sure. But like, okay, but there is no God. So what do we do now?
Well, but there is. Okay, look, and actually, Armin, I think you have a.
I don't know what the hell I'm
information for
talking
that.
about.
I really believe that you do, because I think this is like you have the qualities of a godly person. In fact, like. There's someone in my life.
I might actually go watch porn right after this. I don't know if I'm that
good. Really? Okay, no. I mean, I'm making some exceptions for, of course, I don't agree. I don't think watching porn is godly. But anyway, okay, let's get back to the porn then. Is there anything then we can do? Because, I mean, I didn't think you were trying to convince me that. I mean.
Oh no.
Like, yeah, I mean, you're trying to.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to have a. My goal is not to convince you, because I don't think. My goal is just to have a conversation so that we could better understand each other. Because I don't think you would be convinced by me ever, right? But I think like having this discussion helps us.
Melody Joy said hitting with some last minute gaslighting.
Like Christians and Muslims
Get it,
and
Melody.
atheists having these conversations with each other leads to an understanding of each other and makes them easier to, especially if they could have these conversations without hating each other or attacking each other. Like, I think like I consider you a really good friend of mine, right?
No,
and I think
gross,
like when
don't
we
say
demonstrate
that.
to people that we have these
You're gonna regret
disagreements
those words.
without actually hating each other, it shows
gotta
that
make better friends.
We could live side by side.
Gang, stop
while having these
objectifying him.
disagreements with each other. So I think that's
he's
the main
falling
utility
into a
of having these
friendship with Rebekah
conversations,
Davis.
to
He needs to be.
how we could.
He needs to be safe.
There's a reason why this world.
There is a reason why this world's
the
going
utility
to
of this
hell. Don't let his good looks fool you.
Cool. Well, we've
Friends
been going
don't
almost
let
2 hours,
friends
so maybe
become
we can
friends
just say
with
final
Rebekah
points
Davis.
and then just say, okay, we have to leave it at this tonight.
Okay, no, my final point is that I really like talking to you, Rebekah. I just like even if I disagree with your worldview, I think your kindness and your care for the world is exactly what we need. So we might not need your religion or your perspective or your ideology, but we do need more of your kindness and more of your care for the world. And I think that is actually even a more priority than maybe having the right conclusions. I don't know exactly, but I think like so thank you for caring so much about me and other people like me to want to make this effort. I really do genuinely. I really do genuinely appreciate that. And I'm also inspired by how much love
when they're telling me I'm don't deserve to breathe.
Thank you, and I feel the same way about you. I feel like like I said, if anybody's watching this that is not subscribed to Atheist Republic, please do, because I feel like Armin and Susanna and everyone will lead you in a good direction of loving people, and so I really respect that too, Armin. Very much. And so I appreciate what you have to say. And I think you would be an even more loving person if you never looked at porn and you always were in the position of giving to people rather than like trying to get satisfaction for yourself. So I think that is a better state for humanity.
Really?
And so, and
Bobblehead
I mean, honestly,
nod.
I tried to bring some science.
That bobblehead nod.
my belief about porn really is based on my spiritual experience, and
your spiritual experience with porn, Rebekah?
The knowledge, even, of course, the Bible talks about lust and it's not a good thing, but it's also, just my experience.
I appreciate you, Karen.
I believe that it's better to be in the position of giving to people. And I think porn messes with your mind in a way that puts you in a position of trying to get satisfaction for
it got
yourself
me thinking
rather
about it,
than
messing with my mind,
giving
getting
to
some
others.
satisfaction for myself.
Okay.
That's totally not true, too, because I'll be thinking about giving all types of satisfaction when I'm watching porn. You ain't watching porn.
No, you can
right.
if you want to.
If you don't never think about giving, if you don't fantasize about giving at all when you're watching porn, something is kind of wrong with you. That's selfish. Some of y'all ain't watching porn right. I'm judging you now. Yeah, if you don't never fantasize about doing nothing freaky for the selfish motherfucker.
Why porn could be considered even remotely good. Besides just sexualizing and dehumanizing people, it is also connected to human trafficking.
I already responded to that. It's really the opposite of what you're saying. Actually,
no.
Anyways,
Just
go ahead.
I'm not
go ahead.
No. I'm gonna.
You can't. Whatever.
We have maybe watched the show because I've already responded to.
Yeah.
All of
Boom.
that,
there you go.
And he wrote that at the beginning. These are comments I got from the beginning.
Oh.
Okay, Susanna.
Porn has been around basically since we could draw. Facts was the first thing we did draw.
Jerome says, remember, chat, Rebekah is not allowed to lean too far into empirically measures effects of porn usage because of the reason for opposing it is almost purely doctrinal and so is applied universally. Okay, Jake Green wanted to bring up this. I love this verse, by the way.
That.
Ezekiel 23:20. He says, there she lusted after her lovers whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses.
Boom, there it is.
That's porn.
Biblical.
That is an awesome passage in the Bible. Guys, go read the whole thing. It's awesome. God goes on like a total tirade. And I mean, I just love the way that God uses
it's
this
porn.
imagery
What are
here,
you talking about? What do you mean
like,
you love? So you love it when the Bible
he's
does
like,
porn?
God is saying that, the Israelites basically lusted after the Egyptians, like,
so Bible porn is good.
Somebody lusts after someone with big genitals. But anyway, but it's like about idolatry, actually. Okay.
But it's about idolatry.
What about all the animals having sex?
Okay.
Well,
all
animals
right.
are not the same as us. But anyway, okay. I don't know. There's animals. Go ahead.
No, I just said we are animals, so. And we have a lot of similarities, even though we have differences as well. Yeah. But it's just weird that given that animals have sexual desires and they satisfy their sexual needs without necessarily the love relationships that humans have. Okay, some of them do.
Bro, that's like saying that fucking stepsister porn is about family values or conflict resolution,
and sometimes go hand in hand, and sometimes
the porn where teenagers
they don't always have to go
dad's
hand in hand, right?
wife.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Okay,
you
could enjoy peanut butter, you could enjoy jelly,
the fuck,
and you could enjoy them together, and you could enjoy them separately. Okay, you can enjoy love.
Bitch, nobody cares what the plot line is in the porno.
You can enjoy love separately from lust. You could enjoy lust separately from love, and sometimes when you put them together, it's just amazing.
There it is.
But
and if you're an atheist, you can do that. And if you're a Christian, then no, you can't. Well, you can, and you'll be forgiven, but you shouldn't. All right.
Who wants to go watch?
So, all right. Thank you so much, Armin. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Who wants to go watch?
Subscribe to this
Who
channel.
wants to go watch porn now? Oh, subscribe to this channel. All right. Well, time for. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We made it. We made it. Oh, I guess that's maybe, is this what ultimated Judea, I guess biblically was calling in or whatever? Oh my goodness. So glad we didn't talk to biblically. All right, look, folks. We did it. We made it. Time to go to the ranch. So we'll have the after party at the ranch. Lord knows we don't want no weirdos coming in here overnight. But yeah, we'll come back. We'll go back to the ranch, have some fun, and we made it. I'm glad we watched that. We made it, y'all. That was thoroughly disappointing. You know, just we didn't even get a porno debate. It was half morality.
Hey, man!
What a letdown.
This makes sense.
What a letdown. What a wet noodle of a porn stream that was. You know? Not satisfied.
I'd go from Holy Spirit-filled church to Holy Spirit-filled church and get slathered with oil.
I don't feel relieved, you know? I don't feel like I got my rocks off on that stream. You know what I mean? The content didn't really make me want to splooge all over myself. You know what I'm saying? It just was lacking in a little bit of that. It didn't get my hot and bothered under the collar. You know, it didn't do it for me. It wasn't getting the sweats and tremors and you know what they say, gang? You want something done right? All right. Look, let's get up out of here. Come link up with the gang and gather. We're going to do something fun. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. In the name of the Darwin, the Dawkins, and the Christopher Hitchens, science bless you all. Poof!
Zach? Why she wanna leave me alone? Saying all I do is wrong. No rights, only been left turns. Playing that she gotta let it burn. Saying that the hell's not a home. Sunshine cause she heard it all before. Sometimes she don't wanna be alone. Most times she don't want me gone. She don't know I try my all. She don't know I sprung in the sun, but I'm going in the winter, so we good to the fall. Remember how I told you I get it and I win. Now I got it, you ain't answer my call. Wonder if I've been moving too strong. Maybe I just been moving too balls. Really hate when the feeling get lost. Nowadays she just dodge my calls. In the game throwing laws like Paul. Young legend Miss John like Wall. And I wish you never met like Carl. Thick game, lay it down like law. Made plans but you canceled them all. I was just trying to splurge in the mall. Now I'm home stacking bread till you call. It's time to roll. She tryna slide. We smoking Zah. Stop back and shine. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl. It's time to roll. She tryna ride. We smoking. Stop back and shine. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl.
We smoking that side.